Welcome to Toddy D's Pro Wrestling Podcast. If you don't know by now, I'm your host, Brooklyn's own Toddy D, and back by popular demand for episode 2, I got my main man. You know he was my main man back in the day at NWA Cyberspace. We're not going to get into that. You can watch the first episode. He is now wrestling as a solo act for over 7 years. He's currently in Shenzhen, China, ripping it up for Middle Kingdom Wrestling. He just wrestled at MKW's Blast Off, episode 23. For the MKW title against the Zombie Dragon. Buffa Da Boombox, welcome back to the show, my man. How's it going?
Hey, yo.
Hey, yo.
It's great to be back, man. Yes,
great
sir.
to have you back.
It's so good to be back. Thanks for having me again, man.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. So I was checking out the match. Great back and forth action. I'm going to let you tell me about it. How did this set up, the rematch with the Zombie Dragon? You guys have a history with each other. Great back and forth action. Take me to it. Tell me how this episode came about.
Well, this was actually the second match. The Moore show I got it confused. This was the first. The Moore show was the second.
Okay.
The second time we wrestled each other. We had wrestled each other before in Hong Kong. He teamed with Tajiri, and I teamed with my homeboy Bitman.
Wow, Tajiri, he was the man back in the day. Yeah. Tajiri, big fan.
So you can see the similarities between the two, Zombie Dragon and Tajiri.
Oh, definitely.
Mist and all that. So that was the first time I wrestled Zombie Dragon was maybe, I think, 2 years ago in Hong Kong. So being that my win-loss record is pretty high at MKW, it was only right that, they got the singles match between us going.
I can tell you guys have a history. I mean, watching you guys, man, it was a hell of a show. And it's kind of funny. When I watched you wrestle the Zombie Dragon, it was like I was watching you wrestle your former self because his build and his look, minus the mask, reminds me a lot of you back in the days when you were K-Pusha. So as I'm watching, I said, wow, it looks like a then and now kind of scenario.
Yeah.
So
it does. I didn't really think about it like that.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I'm like, wow, look at the difference in, size, how you've, evolved over the years. But I watched the match. It was a great match. I'm sorry that you didn't get to win the MKW title, but there's always next time. I saw during the match, you did your finisher, the old dead presidents. You came off the top rope. You had to do a flip because it didn't get set up right. And then he just got you by a split second on a small package wrap.
Yes, sir.
So you have to do your homework next time. Hopefully you'll go over next time.
Sure.
Because I'm sure you guys, this is far from over. I'm sure you guys will be locking it up again in the near future.
I'm watching tape. I'm studying. I'm on top of it. I'm ready for the.
Yeah, he's a sneaky guy. I was watching the Mist and everything. So what I wanted to ask you was not so much the match. But after the match, I saw a bunch of guys come in, jump everybody, take everybody out. I seen some big dude with a bald head with a 70s porn mustache. I was like, who's this dude? And then the next thing I know, I see some skinny dude come out, grabbing a title. He's parading around. I'm like, man, this boy's going to get slapped up one of these days. So talk to me. Who are these guys? Do you have beef with them? Or does Zombie Dragon or both you guys have beef? What's the story?
Zombie Dragon has beef with them, but now I have beef with them because they came into the ring and sneak attack. And this was Cold Ray, the smaller guy, and Little Johnny, the bigger guy. You know? And DC Chen, my little protege, was the one that came out with the white hoodie.
Okay.
To try to make the save, but
I saw that.
Outsized. What happens, but.
So here's my question. With this run-in now, is there a possibility that the Zombie Dragon in the future will team up with Buffa and have a tag match with these two clowns who jumped you guys today?
You would think so. But actually, this is his deal because me and DC are in the tag tournament.
Okay.
Cold Ray and Little Johnny they're in the tag tournament as well, so we have our sights set on the titles, So we're not really trying to come to Zombie Dragon's aid, really.
Okay.
So
I figured you guys on his own. Yeah, that's what I figured. I know you guys don't have history as friends. You're more foes, but I figured you guys would form maybe a temporary alliance since the two of you have these two guys as a common enemy.
It makes sense, but I would vision it somewhere else. It's on the tag title, so we're not trying to really
Okay.
You know,
so
focus on anything else outside of the tag titles right now.
So understood. That's what I was about to ask
future
you.
Episodes.
Possibility, right? Never say never.
Spoiler, you won't see a 6-man with us and Zabi Dragon against, Cold Ray and Little Johnny. We're focused on the tag titles. He's focused on defending his world title. So he's mixing it up with them now pretty much moving forward.
Now, the two gentlemen, and I use that term loosely, what are their names who jumped you guys today, and are they in the tag tournament?
Yeah, it's Cold Ray, the smaller guy, and Little Johnny's the bigger guy.
So Little Johnny's the bigger guy.
Yeah.
Does Little Johnny not know he's a big Johnny?
Maybe he has a Little Johnny, if you know what I mean. So,
well, that's an episode for a whole different time and place. We won't get into that.
It probably makes sense somewhere. I ain't really touching that. I'm just, trying to make sense of it.
Well, that's his problem. We'll move on. So I was checking out Middle Kingdom's YouTube site, and I love the video "China to New York" with you.
Oh yeah, man!
China to New York. It's like really catchy. I was checking that out.
Hey,
and
I gotta give a shout out to my homeboy, One Man Crew.
One Man Crew. Okay.
He's not only a pro wrestler. He's a recording artist.
Okay.
He records tracks with ICP for ICP.
Okay.
He's recording with Bone Thugs and Harmony right now. So he put that together for me.
No, he did a really good job. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, awesome. Like all the guys love it. Like everybody that's heard it and seen a video,
it's very catchy,
song, man. It's catchy. Yeah.
The China to New York, the way that it gets repeated in the jam to it is really good.
Yeah.
And speaking of the video, I was watching the video with your some of your matches, and I see that you use the old school $1 million side punch when you're standing up. You go sideways on the punch. I've always been a fan of that move. It's so smooth and crisp.
Oh man, that's. I'm glad you pointed that out because it's a little, like I said before in the first episode, it's a little things I'm like focused on nowadays. And the fish drop, it's like I got that from $1 Million Man.
Yeah,
just the way he would drop it. It's like so simple but effective. Exactly. I have big hands. A lot of people don't notice it until they see me in person. I have big hands.
Oh yeah,
I used to play basketball when I was younger.
Oh yeah,
but I guess the pro wrestling stunted my growth. I'm really supposed to be like 6'5", playing NBA and all that.
Right.
Caught the wrestling bug. So But
it makes sense. I'm glad you caught the bug because.
Look at these hands.
Well, when they say if you have big hands, you got big fists.
Oh yeah.
But so that's reminiscent definitely to the $1 Million Man. And one of the things you do when you lock the guy into the full Nelson and you start dancing with him, which is hilarious, and then you set him up to like a big like spike slam.
Yeah, the full Nelson slam.
Is that like one of Buffa's finishes, or is that just like part of the match?
That's one of my setup moves before the Dead Presidents, which I now call the Buffa Buster.
Okay, so the Buffa Buster, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
It's just so funny.
Slam is a setup.
When I see that, all I think to myself is raise your hands in the air.
Yeah,
I don't care. Like the way you're doing that shit, it is hilarious.
Yeah, naughty by nature.
That's awesome, man. And not to mention your ring entrance with Part-Time Lover, I think it's hilarious and it matches the character to a T and it gets the crowd going. How did Part-Time Lover come about as a ring entrance song? What made you decide to do that? How did it come about?
This wasn't my decision. This came from the original owner of 01.
Okay.
So Stevie Wonder, Part-Time Lover was a huge song. Well, it still is in Japan. So like I mentioned in the first episode, they wanted to get me over as much as possible.
Right.
So that's why they had changed our theme music. So they was like, this would be better for you. And at the time, we're coming out to LL Cool J, I'm Bad.
Well, that's not a bad song either.
Yeah, it's an awesome song for us at the time.
But Part-Time Lover has more of a feel for you.
Oh yeah. So I had to change up my entrance and all that, and work for the song instead of having it work against me. So it all worked out. Like once he told me that they was changing our theme song and our names and all that, I was like, you know what, whatever. Because 01 at the time, they would like change up a lot of the guys' gimmicks and theme music. So I was like, all right, cool. You know, if they say it's gonna work, I'm gonna believe in them. They know better than me.
No, definitely. I mean, and then coming out with the boombox, it's like back in the days, you had Captain Lou Albano, you had Freddie Blassie, the Grand Wizard, you had Bobby the Brain Heenan, Paul Heyman, Miss Elizabeth, but you have the boombox. And to me, you don't even need a manager because coming out with that boombox, it clicks, man. It's awesome and it just works.
That's it right there. That's the manager right there. I don't need anybody to talk for me. I can speak for myself. You know,
exactly.
I don't need a mouthpiece or anything like that.
Yeah.
So when I brought the boombox into, you know, the image that we had, I was like, you know what? Let's focus on our promos. So we don't need a manager. You know, some guys need managers. You know,
some people need the mouthpiece.
Yeah, they need the mouthpiece. Like, I don't want to rely on anybody else. I never want to rely on anybody else.
Right.
So I was like, you know, we're gonna sharpen up the promo skills and have the boombox as like a catching point. You know, as soon as you see us walk through the curtains, you already know what we are. You know, you don't have to figure out our characters or anything like that. And nothing too is we're really from New York. I was born and raised in Harlem, New York, then moved to the Bronx.
Okay.
I was born in the 80s, 83. So this is all me. I'm not one of these guys like trying to dip into like the old school that's
it's all real.
Doesn't have any street cred. This isn't a gimmick. Like you said in the first episode, it's me with the volume turned up.
That's the best. That's the best way to be.
Is what you get.
Exactly.
Yeah. What you see is what you get with me, you know? Like
over the years we learned that. I'm
laid back, you know, but when the camera's on, crank that volume up.
Right up, exactly.
You know, you have to.
Yeah.
This entertainment business, why wouldn't I crank the volume up? But it's all me at the end of the day.
Exactly. And, you know, I think wrestlers should really thank the 90s Attitude Era for Eric Bischoff introducing wrestlers as themselves. And as you mentioned, just with the volume turned up. Because back in the day when WWE was faltering and they saw how great WCW were, you know, how they were doing, that's when they said, you know what? From now on, you're going to be yourselves and just turn the volume up. And the perfect example would be Steve Austin. So once everybody turned the volume up and just, you know, became themselves, just, you know, at a higher volume, that's how every wrestler realized, you know what? Something is making sense here. It gels, because why should I be some bullshit fake character when I can just be myself, but with the charisma and the volume turned all the way up? And like you, you know, I'm from Brooklyn, you know, a little older than you. You know, I'm a 70s guy, born in 70, but I know how it is, you know, living in Brooklyn. And if I were to have, you know, if I had, you know, a run like you, I would definitely be myself with the volume turned up. And that's just the way it is, because that's the best way to get over, is to be yourself. So I commend you for that.
Absolutely.
That's the best way to be.
It comes natural, you know.
Some
people can feel it. They can feel it. The people in the crowd, the fans can feel it. They know when you're putting on a show, and they know when you're just being yourself, man.
Right. Well, the fans
they can
today,
see through it, man.
They know they're not just marks. Now they're smarks. I mean, they're smart marks, and they know the difference. So when you come out, you know, they respect you because you're being you. You know.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to, and I wanted to segue into that. That mall match you mentioned earlier with you and Zombie Dragon. When the match first started, you kind of looked like you were a heel, and then in the middle, you were more of a face. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, this dude is like maybe a little of both. So what do you consider yourself as Buffa? Are you more of a face to the fans, or a heel?
I'm a face all the way.
All the way.
The only difference is I'm more aggressive. I had to become more aggressive the more muscle I started to put on.
Right.
So the aggression is a little bit higher, because a lot of the times, especially out here in Asia, I'm going against guys that are smaller than me.
Yeah.
So I just raise the aggression more, because I'm not doing all the flips I used to do.
Right. Little edge, little attitude.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just turned the aggression up a few notches, you know? For sure.
Yeah, because most faces today, I think they can turn the volume up a little bit with some attitude and still be a face.
Yeah.
You know, like back in the 80s, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat was a full-blown face. He was Mr. Nice Guy. Everybody loved him. I mean, great worker. But the difference in guys like him today, you can be a face, but also be a little cool with, you know, with some edge. And that's what I think Buffa, has, which I love.
Yeah.
Because, you can be a full-blown heel, but the way you do it, people still, clap for you. They still back you because you're the face, but you have that edge.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really cool.
And that developed in Japan, the whole fighting spirit. You always got to fight back. You got to fight from the bottom up. Right. I always like to fight from the bottom up. I don't want to go into a match like, oh, I'm the big guy, so I'm just going to take 80% of the match. I like to fight from the bottom up because I love to sell. I love to tell a story. I love to get my face used in, all that stuff, So I prefer to fight from the bottom up.
Okay.
And in Japan, it's all a fight. It's all a shoot style.
Right.
So they have baby faces there, heels there, but they don't pay too close attention to who's the bad guy, who's the good guy,
Okay.
It's everybody in Japan is tough. Everybody has fighting spirit, They looking at everybody at kind of on a even playing field in Japan. Okay. That's one thing I like about it. It's more of a competition in Japan than a show. It's the number 2 sport in Japan.
Right.
Yeah. It's baseball number 1 and pro wrestling is number 2. It's covered in the newspapers in Japan.
Oh, yeah. Wrestling is very serious over there. Yeah. Yeah,
it's serious business. So that's the approach I took once I left Japan. I was like, I'm going to keep that fighting spirit going. That's going to be a little bit more aggressive, but not to the point where people think I'm a heel. Because if you look at guys like Shawn Michaels,
right,
when he was a baby face, he kind of worked he's sold like a heel
because he was cocky.
He wrestled like a heel,
but in a good way face. Though.
Yeah. And Bret Hart is another one. You see the aggression on his face.
Exactly.
He's aggressive as hell. So I'm I like that because it's more realistic.
Right, wrestling with a little bit of an edge, a little bit of an attitude.
Yeah.
Because you know what?
You're when you're trying to win at the end of the day.
Right. You got a chip on your shoulder. You're supposed to show that and let it come out in the match saying, hey, you know what? This dude pissed me off. I may be a good guy, but I'm not going to take his crap. And that's going to show in the match. Like you said, with Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. I mean, even 80s dudes like Hulk Hogan, he was the biggest baby face in the world. But when he got pissed off, when he looked at the person and he pointed and he got all mad, that's his way of saying, hey, you know what? I'm pissed. He would rake people's backs. And that's like a classic. That's a classic rule breaker move. But here, babyface Hogan is raking people's backs because he's like, "Listen, I had enough. You pissed me off, and now I'm going to get you back." So, I mean, that's cool that you're doing your thing. And speaking of edge, I noticed you and the Zombie Dragon after both of your matches, you guys actually bowed, shook hands out of respect. Now, is that something that MKW does on a regular basis, sort of like the way Ring of Honor used to do, or it was just like showing of respect with you guys?
It's just a showing of respect because, one thing I don't think I really touched on in the first episode was when you asked me about what other foreigners are there.
Right.
Zombie Dragon is from Atlanta as well.
Oh, really?
He's a foreigner, in MKW as well as Uncle Money. He's from Atlanta too. He's a part of the stable. That's their main heel faction in MKW. So Uncle Money is from Atlanta as well as Zombie Dragon.
So you have some local guys.
And Zombie Dragon is pretty much he's a baby face, and I have a lot of respect for him. So that's
both of you guys are really good.
Right there.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed his matches. I've been watching the MKW YouTube channel that you provided me, and I've been tweeting that out on my page so that people can watch it.
Yeah, I see that, man.
Yeah, they have. You did. So I mean, the sky's the limit with this company. I mean, so.
Oh yeah.
So your owner. What's his name? Adrian Gomez?
Yeah, Adrian Gomez.
Yes, I see he's been an owner of MKW now for 10 years. I checked out a couple interviews. What's your relationship with Adrian? And, what's the future hold for Buffa and MKW?
Oh, man. Adrian gave me a huge opportunity at a time where I was kind of down, like I mentioned in the first episode.
Right.
I had my moments where I've been down, then something got me up.
Okay.
So just to go back to, I think it was 2018, 19. Before I got to try out with WWE, I was living in Japan. So I was living with my ex-girlfriend at the time, and I was just doing indies in between. So a situation happened between us where she basically kicked me out. So I was living inside the net hotels that I told you about before, the little cubicles and stuff like that.
Right.
So I was like, it was some nonsense that happened with her, not my fault, of course.
Right, of course.
She was expecting something outside of the whole deal. Like, we was already broken up, and she was like, oh, you come back to Japan? Oh, you can stay with me. But there was never any talks about us working things out or anything like that. So, when things didn't go the way I guess she was expecting, she gave me the boot. So I'm like, all right, cool. I have friends out here. I have places I can stay.
Just move forward,
I had bookings lined up.
Yeah.
I had bookings lined up, so I wasn't just going to shoot back to Hong Kong. I was like, I want to fulfill my commitments. Then I'll go back to China after I'm done doing like my bookings. So I had a week left before my next show, so I moved to like the Net Hotel. I was living there for like 2 weeks. It was the worst. But I was like, I want to make these shows, I don't want to just like skip out and just bail out on them. They're booking me, they advertising me. So at the time, I finished up my booking in Japan. And I was like, damn, what's next? Am I going to go home or what's the deal? Because when I was still living with her, that's when I got contacted about the tryout. So I was like, cool. I have some hope. But in between then, it's like, this is like July or something. The tryout was supposed to be in like August, even though it got pushed to December. I'm thinking it's going to be in August. So I'm like, or September. So I'm like, I got like a month or two in between. So I need to work. So while I'm in this Net Hotel, I'm talking with, I think it was Uncle Money. And I'm like, yeah, man, I'm telling him the situation. So he was like, why don't you come to MKW? So a lot of the guys found out about, my situation, and they saw that I was free to work. So
right. And they were looking out for you.
They was going to Adrian, like, oh, he's one of the best guys out here in the business. Like, why wouldn't you book him? Like, book him. So he was like, all right, cool. He's like, I'll book him. So that was the first time I worked for MKW.
Okay, so yeah, between your look and your experience, and you've been a world-class traveler. You've been in the business at that point for over a decade.
Yeah.
So why not, give you the opportunity?
And this is the thing too. Like when remember I told you I was working in a strip club in Macau.
Yes, you said part of it was a wrestling, and the other part was the strip. Okay, right.
Adrian came to one of the first shows, so I met Adrian there.
Okay.
Previously, so he already knew about me. Then I had met him again, maybe a month after that. So he already knew about me, but he didn't know my schedule because he knew I was traveling to all these different countries wrestling. So he didn't think I would be available.
So at the time he thought you were like a wild card.
Guys told him.
Yeah. Okay.
So he didn't really want to take a chance on me because he thought I would just be out somewhere
just show up and then head out like as if you're passing by.
He wanted to have me there on a more consistent basis, and I understand that from a business standpoint.
Of course.
So, he gave me the opportunity, and ever since then, it's been a good relationship.
That's great,
especially with the tapings.
And now, how long have you been in MKW for?
I think 2 years. I think about 2 years.
So the whole time you've been wrestling for MKW for the most part, because I remember you telling me that you can do singles and you can also do tag team matches, but you're more presented as a singles wrestler, you would say?
Yeah. At first, I really wasn't. When I first came to MKW, I was in a tag match. Then the second time I was in the tag match. So I was a little upset about that because remember I told you I didn't want to be in any tag matches.
Right.
I wanted to do singles.
Yeah.
So I was constantly booking tag matches, and I'm like, I just want to do singles matches. But the only reason why he was putting me in tag matches is because he didn't think I would be here the next show.
Exactly. He I said earlier, thought you were passing by. So just put it's funny because we did that in NWA Cyberspace. Quick side note: when we brought in CM Punk, Derek didn't know how long he was going to be, working for the company. So he teamed him up with Julio De Niro, thinking that he was just passing by. And had he known we would have had him for a short, period of time, because he was going to WWE, but we didn't know that at the time. We would have presented him more as a singles wrestler. So, like you said, as an owner of a company, you don't, or a booker, you don't know if the person's passing by or not. So when you first start them out, you'll put him in any type of a situation, whether it's singles or tag team. So I can see, why Adrian did that. But now that you guys built up a rapport and he knows how valuable Buffa is, now you're getting those singles matches and the more opportunities as time is going by, which is, more advantageous to you.
Oh, yeah. It definitely changed when the whole COVID hit, because he started doing the tapings for YouTube. So being that I'm living out here consistently now,
right, makes it much easier
on a
obviously.
regular basis.
Yeah, your home base is China,
much easier
so
for me to do it.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's
even
funny.
though Harbin is like it's 4-hour flight from Shenzhen, I can still do the tapings with no problem.
It's convenient. Okay.
Yeah.
And how far are you, geographically speaking, from Shenzhen or from where they do the recordings? Is it a long travel?
It's about 4 hours by flight.
Real from where you are right now?
Yeah.
So from Middle Kingdom Wrestling, when you guys do your tapings, it's a 4-hour. Wow.
Yeah. China's huge, man.
I know.
I didn't realize how big China was until I came here. I was like, damn.
Yeah,
it's like big. 10 hours to get to like certain areas by flight. Right. And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah,
it's crazy, man.
That's a nice commute, but it shows how serious you are about your craft. And,
oh, yeah.
It's funny. I noticed in the last, match you guys had at Blast Off, I heard people talking, I heard cheering, but it was kind of like a dark setting. I'm like, there's a lot of voices, but I don't see anybody. And then as the wrestlers were exiting the ring, as the lights come on, there was actually a crowd there. I was like, oh, okay. Because in past videos, you saw a larger, crowd, but that was probably before COVID hit. So obviously there were bigger crowds then.
Like even when we started the tapings, when I mentioned how they only allowed about 20 people in the crowd,
right?
The old club that we ran in, they had like a balcony, so all the fans were upstairs,
right?
So the ground level, it was no fans there.
Okay,
you could hear everything, and like in some shots, you could see like the people upstairs, But this new building that we're running in it's a lot different, everything is ground level, so you actually see the people there,
which is cool, and it kind of reminds me of the old school feel.
It's cool. It looks cool, but I kind of like the old setup with the in the club because it's much smaller and there's not a lot of people there, so it's just it. Honestly, I like the small settings a lot better than the bigger settings,
They're more,
especially if there's not like a lot of people there. Yeah.
And you can interact with the fans.
It's like, being that, like I mentioned before, like the turnout wasn't as good. It's kind of like, man, we could have really used a smaller like setting for these.
Well, you know what? In due time, it's going to pick up because hopefully, as things start to slow down with the pandemic and things start to get more on track again, people will start coming out. They'll feel more comfortable. And you guys will be able to fill up these shows a little better.
Yeah, for sure. I see it happening. Absolutely.
So now, when you guys have your shows, is there like an intermission where you guys have tables set up where you have like meet and greets with the fans, or is that something separate?
That would be something separate, because we take like a 15-minute intermission in between every tape, and we do 3 tapings a day. So we'll do one tape and it's about 4 matches.
Okay.
Then we take like a 15-minute intermission. Then we do the next taping, 15-minute intermission, next taping.
All right.
So
like
there's
3
really
sets,
like
4 matches each.
To greet. Yeah, about like 4 matches.
Okay. And now that gets spread out for a 2 or 3 week period?
That would be a 3-week period.
That's what I figured. Okay.
Yeah. Every taping is a week.
All right.
So about 3 matches. We used to shoot more matches. We used to shoot maybe it was like about 4 or 5 matches sometimes, some tapings at first.
Okay.
Now it's been cut down to about 3.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been cut down to about 3.
And one thing I
He
noticed
was doing like a whole week at one point.
Wow.
Of shows.
Yeah, because you mentioned that in the last podcast that, you know, sometimes you'll be double booked, you know, in a day, and sometimes you go 5-7 days out of the week.
Yeah, man.
Which is good for you. Yeah. Obviously, it's more lucrative.
Oh yeah, for
and
sure.
You're getting paid steadily, which is, you know, everybody wants to be paid steadily, which is great. But having the shows and having those bookings and having the storylines, it keeps it consecutive.
Wrestle, man. I don't mind that.
Yeah, no, who wouldn't? So so basically, when is your next set of TV tapings taking place?
The next ones are set to take place in July 20-something.
Okay.
I think like July 25th through like 28th or something like that.
So I believe. So from now to July, you'll be doing like house shows and not recordings?
Yeah, pretty much, because we have a show in here in Shenzhen, May 25th.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a joint show, but MKW is a part of it. So it's like multiple companies in China like coming together, like OWE. Some guys from OWE is going to be a part of it. Guys from MKW, guys from like other companies. So it's like a big joint show taking place on the 25th. Yeah.
So basically, MKW is open to working with other companies, like Invasion Angles, or just sharing talent, so to speak.
Just mostly like sharing talent. Yeah, mostly like sharing talent. Yeah, they're open to that. Like the Invasion Angles are so like overdone.
Yeah, it's overkill.
You know? Yeah, man, it is.
Yeah,
it is.
I remember we used to share talent back in the day. If you remember back in NWA cyberspace, we shared talent with NYWC sometimes, and you know we would do crossover matches. So that's good that MKW is open to that, because it makes different matches, and it gives more opportunity out there. Yeah. Because not that you don't want to see Buffa and Zombie Dragon lock up, but sometimes if someone else comes out of another Fed and they challenge you to a match, or vice versa, if Zombie Dragon is going to wrestle a champion from another company, people are going to be like, oh shit, this is interesting here. We have like a cross promotion. Like back in the days when Harley Race wrestled Bob Backlund, you had the NWA champ against the then WWF champ. So it's always interesting to see cross promotions come in, lock up, even if it's temporary. Because I remember back in the day when I went to Madison Square Garden, you would see Dusty Rhodes on a show at the Garden, but he wasn't signed with WWF, but he would come in, wrestle superstar Billy Graham, and then go back to another, his other company. So it's cool that you guys are going to be doing that.
So cool, man.
Yeah.
I like that. I always like that approach, like inter-promotional matches and like a champion from this company defending the title in this company against their top star. Like that's always cool to me. That stands out more to me than like Invasion Angles.
Right. Well, like you said, they've been overdone. It's oversaturated. And unfortunately, the last Invasion angle was a horrible produced angle where you had WCW come into WWE with their second-gen wrestlers, because the first opening acts were sitting at home collecting a paycheck. So it doesn't. It can work if you have the right players involved, but if you don't, it's just going to be a train wreck.
I mean, I loved it because X-Pac is my favorite wrestler, so he won both belts. So I was all for it. But other than that, I look back at it now and I'm like,
Yeah, now it's like,
I
you said,
was
it's
happy
overdone.
for that shit.
Yeah, it's more saturated now. So with MKW, we mentioned the last time they have obviously the heavyweight champion. You have tag team titles. Are there any other titles in that company, or that's it? Just the main heavyweight championship and the tag titles?
That's it right now. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just those two titles at this moment. I'm sure, like, matter of fact, no. I don't want to give away any spoilers.
No,
but there was another championship before, but a situation happened where they
pretty much kind of like set to the side.
Yeah, it was set, but it's coming back. Another title is coming back, so there's 3 championships now.
Okay.
Like moving forward.
And MKW, I'm looking at my other screen here. You guys have a bunch of episodes up on the on the YouTube page. Take me how this all came about, and like when you started in the program, and name some wrestlers that you worked with. Talk to me about like your matches.
I started I've been here since the first episode of Blast Off.
Okay.
The first match I had at Blast Off was against MA. MA was one of my old proteges.
Okay.
A guy I took under my wing. He was from OWE, and he wrestled in Pro Wrestling Noah in Japan. So he has some experience under his belt, and he's still young. He's like 22 right now, 23.
Oh, so he started out nice and young, which is good.
Yeah, much like me. I started when I was 15. So
yeah, you were really young when you started.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
So I took a liking to him. So I took him under my wing. Then he pretty much stabbed me in the back.
That's the wrestling business, man.
So so that started a little rivalry between me and him throughout I think it was about four episodes of Blast Off. Then we wound up having the first ever Last Man Standing match in China.
Oh, it's the first one. Okay.
I think that was episode 5, I believe. Episode 4 or episode 5, we have that big Last Man Standing match.
Man Standing match.
Yeah. From there, I challenged for the heavyweight title in a 4-way. Almost won. It came this close.
This close.
But MA came in and pulled me off after I hit the dead presidents.
There's always that dirty player in the game that has to ruin the finish, right?
Yeah. All the time. I think that was episode 3 or 4. The Last Man Standing match came after that.
Right.
Because, of course, I was pissed off and I was ready to go.
Yeah.
So I think the Last Man Standing match is maybe episode 5, 4, or 6. Yeah.
Well, the last episode was 23, and that was great. I watched that this morning, before we got on the podcast. And I have to say, it was a great match between you and Zombie Dragon.
Yeah.
So now, with these episodes, they get aired on YouTube on a weekly basis or a bi-weekly basis?
Yeah.
Weekly
basis, every Friday at 8 p.m.
So 8 p.m. your time, 8 a.m. Eastern time. So I'll definitely keep an eye out for that. I want everyone else out there to keep an eye out for Middle Kingdom Wrestling on YouTube. They have their weekly shows Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern time, 8 p.m., I guess we'll say Chinatown.
Yeah.
But that's really cool. I mean, you guys seem like you have a good product. Now, let me ask you this. When you guys have a blow-off match, do you guys do any steel cage matches or anything of that nature for a blow-off match, or is it all strictly, old school, regular, normal matches?
I think the most extreme they've gotten as far as blow-off matches with maybe a ladder match or a TLC. I think the most extreme match was an MKW. I would say maybe the Last Man Standing match.
Okay, and that's the one that you
the most
started.
Extreme. Yeah,
and you were the innovator on that.
Mm-hmm. They've had ladder matches before, but that's the ladder match. The ladder match, it can get extreme, but it depends on who's in there.
It depends on the workers who's involved.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. Now,
and they've had street fights before as well. So,
oh, really? Okay.
I would say Last Man Standing match is probably the most extreme because that's how they built it. The first ever Last Man Standing match. So,
right.
They made a big deal out of it.
What if
that's probably the most extreme.
Okay. What if you were approached with an Iron Man match, 30-minute or an hour Iron Man match, sort of like a Bret Shawn Michaels kind of deal?
Yeah.
Have you ever been?
I've done Iron Man matches before.
Really? So MKW is more of a 30-minute versus a 60 because of time constraints, or?
I would say it would probably be best to be done on Blast Off, and I would say it'd be the whole episode. So I would say 60 minutes. I'll be up for that. I've done them before. I think the longest it's gone was 45 minutes. It was it was a tag match. I won't say it was it was technically an Iron Man match, but we was in a tag match, my brother and I think it was a 15-minute time limit.
Right.
So, nobody got pinned. So they had another 5 minutes. Nobody got pinned. They had enough. At the end of the day, it was 45 minutes or something like that.
That's when someone will come out saying they request to restart this match for 5 more minutes. Yeah. You don't want to have a BS finish.
Restarting it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think if Buffa and Zombie Dragon had a 60-minute Iron Man match, And in the 60-minute Iron Man match with the most pinfalls, I think Buffa might have a chance and be able to slide out Zombie Dragon. What are your thoughts?
There's no substitute for experience.
Exactly.
Zombie Dragon is experience, but I'm more experienced.
But at the end of the day, it would be more like the student against the pupil.
Yeah.
So Zombie Dragon, if you're listening out there, I think Buffa is going to wants to challenge you to a 60-minute Iron Man match with the most pinfalls. I'd like to hear what your response is. That would be interesting. I think Buffa might have a chance because unfortunately, as we mentioned earlier, you got slided out by a little bit on the small package. But think about it. That may have been just one win in a 60-minute Iron Man match where you would have a chance to recover and maybe beat him out in the amount of pinfalls in that 60 minutes.
Yeah,
so that's something we should go maybe to Adrian Gomez on and say, hey, let's make this match happen. You know, part 3. I'm down for it as a fan. 3. I'm sure you're down for it as a wrestler.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm ready for number 3. Yeah. And I wanna add that small package wasn't an ordinary small package. He did it out of a wood barrel.
Right.
So I haven't seen that since like 2004 or 2003 or something like that.
It kind of came out of nowhere.
That small package out of the wheelbarrow.
Right, so, just out of nowhere. Yeah.
It was a little shocking, you know.
But you know what?
I'm up for a match 3.
You go back to the basics. Now you're prepared for something like that. And if you win the tag team title, the tag team tournament, and you get the titles, think about something. You can have a hashtag on your Twitter page, #DuelChamp. If Buffa can capture the tag titles along with the heavyweight championship in MKW, #DuelChamp. That shit it'll trend worldwide, my man. I know it will.
Hey, it won't be the first. It won't be the first time. I'll tell you that much.
I got a lot of great ideas, but Adrian, the next time I give another idea, put Brooklyn's Untitled on the payroll at MKW. Nah, I'm just kidding.
Give the credit.
But I got plenty of ideas for Buffa, and I'm sure it's already fermenting in your brain, my man.
Hey, he knows what's up.
Exactly. So do the fans, man, because like when you come out and you interact with them between you dancing and the boombox, and that's something I meant to mention earlier. When you come into the ring, the way you lay down the boombox in front of you, it's like as if a champion comes out with this title. He goes, "That's right, baby, it's right here." The way you do that with the boombox, like you're representing, hey, I'm here. There's the boombox. We're ready to rumble.
Oh yeah, and that's something that like with the championship belts. I always hate when I see guys throwing the belt in the ring. Like, respect the belt.
Respect it. Exactly.
Why are you throwing the belt in the ring and I'm like sliding it under the ropes? Come on now.
Yeah, I mean,
I wouldn't even like. I wouldn't even do that with my boombox, and it's not a championship.
You got to show respect to what you.
My boombox.
That's right. Than some people with the title. You know.
Yeah, they just throwing it in the ring. I'm like,
yeah.
Are you even like proud that you're a champion? You just throwing it in the ring like you don't even give a damn. Like you could lose it tonight and not even care. Like,
exactly. You're just flinging it around.
Being champion.
Exactly.
Yeah, like it's one thing if it's your character, but it's like I see so many guys do that, and
I'm not a fan of that myself. I'll be honest with you.
Like not respecting. It's like not respecting the referee. I get in the ring, I'm giving the referee a handshake. You see a lot of my matches. I'm showing the ring announcer love.
You're coming out full respect.
Referee love. I'm giving them handshakes and like engaging with them, like making them a part of the show too. Like,
and that's one thing I noticed about the crowd.
Like the little things
that kind of surprised me. I saw in your match with Zombie Dragon, either one of you, sometimes you were trying to clap to get the crowd going, and would take a while. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, fans, attention. This is your turn now to reciprocate and get the clap going. They're trying to clap to get you pumped up. So fans out there in MKW land, when someone's clapping in the ring, you need to clap back. So that's the one thing that kind of bothered me a little bit. The crowd needs to interact a little more.
That's like I said in the first episode, like pro wrestling is in like its infant stages. So my job and every other wrestler's job is to teach the fans what pro wrestling is.
Right, bring them up to speed, and you want to leave it a better place when you got there than when it was before you were there.
That's why I like with the claps. If you see a lot of my entrances, I'm clapping. I'm like getting them engaged. I'm
watching at home and I'm clapping.
I'm teaching them. Yeah, I'm teaching them when to clap and like when to boo and stuff like that. And it's like you have to do that.
Fan interaction is huge.
They don't understand pro wrestling.
That's right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
You know, I don't get too upset about it because in China, I know like where pro wrestling is in China, and I'm like, they don't really understand. It's not like they're not clapping because you don't want to. They don't understand what pro wrestling is.
Yeah.
So it's every wrestler's job in China to teach them what pro wrestling is.
Right. Bring
not just
speed.
by telling them or anything like that.
No.
But like showing them and teaching them why you in the ring.
Interact. Right. Give the signs. Say like if you start going like this, obviously they're going to start clapping. If you're making fun of a wrestler, like he's an asshole, clap, 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 and they'll start doing it. It's all about repeating interaction.
Yeah.
Like Kurt Angle comes to mind when his song used to come on. They all yell, "You suck."
Yeah.
And one of the biggest pains in the ass is anytime somebody said something when they were done, you get the what? You get the what? At first it was cool, but then it became a little stupid.
It was, when they was doing it for everybody that wasn't Stone Cold, I'm like, come on now.
And it's funny how it's really funny how stuff like that happens. I mean, the story behind that was him and Christian used to have an inside joke where they would leave messages on each other's voicemail. He'd say, I'm calling to tell you. What? I'm going to tell you this. What? Give me a call back later. What? And they would joke around on a voicemail. And he says, you know what? Maybe I'll use that as part of my gimmick. So at any given time, a crazy idea can happen. So now, if and when Buffa becomes the MKW World Heavyweight Champion, coming into the ring with the boombox, now with the title, I'm sure you got a million scenarios in your head. How am I going to do this? How am I going to represent the title with the boombox? Because, hey, I have both of them now. I have two hands. So now you'll have to think of a nice way to represent the title and not make the boombox, second fiddle. Because that boombox brought you to the dance. So that's something you'll have to think about.
Man, I haven't thought about that, man. You're right. That's gonna be tough, man. Because not only do I have the Kango hat, I have the glasses, I have the gold chains.
Right,
I wear like
the pin on your hat
chains now.
Yep.
Yeah, I have the pin on the hat, I have the boombox, and if I become a champion, I'm gonna have a belt to worry about it as well. So I would not be walking to the ring with the belt on my hand. It would be around my waist like the real champions who wear their belts.
Representing the right way.
The belt would be around my waist.
Right,
it would be around my waist no matter what.
Yeah.
But it'll be like, because I like to jump in the ring. I like to be like
energetic,
animated, and energetic, like
that's
I like
the whole Buffa character. Yeah.
So it's gonna
I definitely see it happening. Hopefully sooner rather than later because you paid your dues. And I can see a nice title run for Buffa. I think it'd be definitely well worth it. It'll get the crowd going.
Oh yeah.
And I can see a nice title run. So if you win those tag team titles and you go for the heavyweight, I'm telling you, I see it now. # dual champ.
Oh yeah, man. I'm with it. I'm so with it. It's
I think
about
the crowd
time.
will be with it too. I see a lot of fans out there who really react to you, and I see when you dance with them, they start dancing on the side with you. It's really cool. I got a kick out of that.
I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah, it looks like they were having a good time too.
Yeah, I'm glad because you come to a wrestling show, especially out here, you don't really know what pro wrestling is.
Yeah.
So when you come across a pro wrestler that's like engaging with you, like I don't know if you saw this. I posted up on my story. It was when I was making my entrance. Some just like random kid was walking through the mall, and I go up to him, I put my arm around him, like, "How you doing, man?"
Yeah, exactly. You got him involved. I saw that.
I love doing stuff like that because it's so random and it's out of nowhere. I love to get people's reactions,
and it makes them feel special, and they get shocked. Like, shit, he's including me,
Yeah,
that's great.
So I love doing stuff like that, man.
I noticed in the mall match, you went up the escalator first, and you were interacting with people going up. I'm thinking to myself, okay, the ring is downstairs. He's going upstairs. I guess he's going to go for a world tour around the mall, maybe do a little shopping. I don't know. But when you went to the top, you interacted with the crowd, and then coming, down the escalator, you did the same thing, which was really cool because that's like a unique atmosphere being in a mall. It's not a direct, entrance to the ring. You get to screw around with the escalator, go up and down, interact with the people in the mall. And then the cool camera shot when the match began, you see people viewing from the top as well as the bottom.
Oh, man, that was so good.
So are you guys going to be going back to the mall again, or was that like a one-shot deal?
Man, it wasn't a one-shot deal. It was a test run.
Okay.
To see if it's something that, you know, we could possibly do.
Yeah.
Like consistently, like maybe every month. So from what I hear, like everything went well. You know, they loved the show, and we should be back soon, man. Because they did about, that was maybe the third more show they did.
Okay.
It's the last more we wrestled in was a different more.
But it was okay because it looked different. I was going to ask
the
you
same
that.
more. Yeah.
Okay.
The two prior to that was the same more, but it's looking good, man. Because in Asia, like even when I was living in Japan, they had they were sponsored by one of the biggest malls in Japan, 01.
Okay.
So they were sponsored by like this big mall in Japan. They were sponsored by like these like pachinko, like these little slot machine companies. So we would do shows like inside the malls,
right,
and it's outside the malls in the parking lot.
Oh, you would have outdoor shows.
Slot machine mall. Yeah, we do like in the summertime.
Right.
So we would do shows inside the mall. We do shows outside in the parking lot.
Okay.
And
that would be a great idea.
Asia, it's a big thing. Like the mall shows are like a big thing in Asia.
Okay, so now with the pandemic, even though it's like coming, hopefully it's getting better. If you guys wrestle outdoors in the summertime, I think it would be a better turnout because people will be able to spread out more. You know, you're outdoors and you're not secluded. Where still wear the mask, practice the social distancing. But if you're outdoors with the open air, I think that would attract more fans to come.
Yeah, man, for sure. I think so too. But I also like this last war show. It was a lot of people there. They didn't give a damn about.
There were a lot of people there. Okay.
So honestly, I don't even know if there would be more fans.
So it wouldn't really matter.
Sideshow. It wouldn't like, because I mentioned before, like in the first episode in China, it's pretty much back to normal. Like everybody's just like, you still need to wear a mask inside like government buildings, inside taxis, public transportation.
Right. If you're in a
still
cab,
need to wear a mask.
Right.
Yeah. Certain places, but
which
like walking the streets.
You can walk in the street without it, and if you see someone coming like down the block your way, you'll pop it on for a minute and throw it down. I do that for the most part.
And even inside malls, you see people without the mask on. It's like it was one point like you couldn't get into the mall without having a mask, but once you're in the mall, you could like take the mask off. So it was like crazy stuff like that, and the people just ain't give a damn. So I'd rather be safe than sorry. So I make sure I have my mask on.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Even if I have it down, I still have it on.
So at a typical mall show, what's the attendance like, numbers wise? How many people show up for these mall events?
Man, that's tough, man. That's a tough one. A few hundred, like easily.
Wow.
Easily like in the fives and up.
That's incredible, especially with the way things are going today. That's really great. So now the last match you guys did, I saw there was a crowd there.
Like, so it was a smaller crowd,
That's what I was going to ask you. That was more of like a studio taping.
Yeah, the studio taping type crowd.
So like a select few were permitted in the building for the fan reactions. But when you guys do a regular show that's non-studio, obviously there's a bigger turnout. And there's more fans.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And I have to give a big shout out to like a lot of the foreigners that live out here in China that come to the shows, because they're also training the Chinese people when to cheer, when to boo. Because the foreigners out here, you can hear them when you watch these matches, man. They're loud, and like all the Chinese fans are just like, they just playing off of the foreigners.
Yeah, you're right.
So that's another good thing. So big shout out to the foreigners that come to the shows that are MKW fans. They help.
Well, that's great. No such thing as a bad reaction, whether you're getting cheered or booed.
Yeah,
that's either way. It's a great reaction. You want to have a reaction. If people in the crowd just sit there, that's the worst. If you look at some of those Saudi Arabia shows that the WWE did, they zoom out to the crowd. You got dudes on cell phones. People are like this.
Yeah, like what the hell?
They're looking around. They're not even focusing on the friggin' match in the ring. and that takes away from the product. You want to have a live interactive crowd, and the problem is
not have them there.
Yeah, some of these places overseas, they're not used to wrestling shows, so they don't know what to expect or how to react. But it looks like MKW, where you're wrestling out of Shenzhen over there, the crowd has basically a feel, and I feel like they're getting more educated as time goes by, thanks to wrestlers like you, Zombie Dragon, and the other, cast and crew you have in MKW. Because you guys need to kind of like nurture the crowd to get them on page with you. Man.
Yeah, we have to. It's our job. It's our job. It's everybody's job, honestly. Whether they know it or not, like
they're part of the show.
I'm here to tell them like it's your job.
Right. They're part of the show. I mean, without you guys, they have nothing to cheer or boo about. But without them, you have no feedback. So it kind of like works together.
Yeah, man. That's one thing I like. Man, I'm thankful that I'm here in China and I had the opportunity to work for MKW doing all these tapings, because like when I look at like a lot of the companies back home in the States, they were doing like the studio wrestling with no fans.
With no crowd,
we've always had fans in attendance for all these tapings. So that helped out a lot. Like
very fortunate for that.
I started out wrestling in front of nobody, so I know how to transition. I don't I feed off of the crowd, but it's no different whether it is like 10,000 or nobody in the crowd. I'm still gonna work the same no matter what.
Right, and that's what I was about to ask you.
Yeah, it's been so long. I'm just like, man, I'm just glad that we had a crowd there, so it wasn't a hard transition to work in front of like less people than I was before.
Well, now what if, say, God forbid, you guys are performing in front of no one, or you have like monitors up with some fans the way WWE does? How does that affect? How would that affect Buffa's entrance with the music, the radio? Because, like you said, you interact with people. Would it throw you off, or would you just keep going as if they were there?
I react the same. Like if there's less people in the crowd, I just turn up an extra notch.
Even more, so it wouldn't change anything with your ring entrance.
I make a joke out of it. If it's like one person in the crowd, I'm going to turn up even more.
Okay.
I'm not going to show you that it's affecting me.
Good answer.
I'm not going to let it affect me.
Exactly.
I'm going to turn up even more. So if you're watching, you'll be like laughing, like, oh.
But he's still into his gimmick. This is okay. That's what I was hoping you would say.
No way, I'm not gonna turn it down. I don't give a damn.
Right.
I don't care, man. You're not gonna be able to see through what I'm doing.
Right. You're not gonna distract me or throw me off my game. That's right.
I'm not gonna let you see me sweat. Hell no.
I hear you. I hear you.
Know the difference.
And it's funny because
it's gonna be the same.
Good. That's a great answer. And with MKW, I notice sometimes I watch on YouTube and the announcing is completely in Chinese, which I figured.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'm watching matches with commentary and it's in English.
Yeah.
So tell me about that. How did it switch? How'd that all come about?
They brought in Kevin Gill. He does commentary. He used to do commentary for ICP.
Okay.
When they had their wrestling promotion, he does commentary for like a lot of different indie companies. I think he does commentary for GCW now.
Okay.
So Adrian brought him in to do commentary for MKW. So Adrian selects about 6 matches. 6 of like, I guess like the best matches in MKW. And Kevin Gill just like does the commentary in English. So this is like maybe like once every other month.
Okay, so you alternate so that way people overseas, like back home, they can watch it on YouTube and actually understand what they're saying because they're doing it in English, which is cool.
Yeah. So he covers like a few different matches from MKW like every few months.
Okay. Sure. And I also noticed that MKW has like basically their own type of podcast they put on YouTube, Al Lang's Chinese Wrestling Sit Down.
Yeah.
I saw he had Adrian on there as a guest. I watched most of the podcast. Very interesting. Unfortunately, they had some technical difficulties because I think the Wi-Fi was bad at the time in China. Something was going on. But, I got a good feel for it.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So have you been on that sit down interview, or will you be in the future?
I was actually supposed to be. I was supposed to be a part of one of the sit downs a few months ago, but my thing was I wasn't doing a lot of interviews, podcasts like I told you before.
Right.
Like it's been a few years since I've done interviews, podcasts, radio interviews, anything like that. It's been a while because my whole thing is like I'd rather have somebody like yourself that knows me, that knows my history, that's been there since like day one.
Right. Thank you.
Interviewing me instead of somebody that doesn't really like know my history, that's gonna like go like search it on like the internet, Google and stuff like that. So I'm like, I don't. I'd rather these guys showcase some of the MKW guys before me.
Right.
You know, give these other guys
how they do, and then
the spotlight.
Then you'll be open to it.
You know.
I hear you.
Like I'll do it. I'm not saying I won't do it, but right now, like showcase some of these other MKW guys that can use the
exposure.
The
right.
Yeah, the exposure. Like I don't really need it right now. So
you're always welcome on my podcast. You know that.
Oh, hey, man, this is what. How many days it's been since the last one?
We did the last podcast last week. It was on Sunday.
And it's
May
Friday.
2nd. We did the podcast.
Yeah.
And not that I'm patting myself on the back, but I guess I will. I put the podcast out the next day on Monday, May 3rd. I told you, I promised it'd be a good turnaround. I spent the whole day editing and adding stuff. And if I don't say so myself, it came up pretty good. And we've been getting a lot of great feedback. Which is
man, a lot of people that listen to it came back to me, whether it be wrestlers, promoters, fans, and they love it, man. So I got to give all the credit to you because
I appreciate that. It goes right back to you.
You made it so easy, man. You made it so easy to sit down and talk for what it was like 3 hours.
Yeah, it was just under 3 hours. Not to be so exact, it was 2 hours and 51 minutes. All my friends here in the States, they've been watching it. I told them to be patient. If you have to watch a little at a time, we're also providing the Podbean website for the audio only.
Yeah.
So if people are driving in their cars or wherever they are, if they don't have time to watch, they can listen. So, I really appreciate the people following you have been retweeting, my podcast on my Twitter handle. And, I'll continue to work with you in the future. Anything that's going on with Buffa, MKW, or all points in between, you come on Toddy D's personal podcast anytime. We'll hook it up and, we'll just put it out there for everybody to watch and enjoy.
I got a lot of guys that are ready to come up, man. Like I told you before, man.
Let me know.
Like, you're gonna have a lot of work coming up soon.
We'll have him come on the podcast. Sure. We'll shoot the shit. If Zombie Dragon's interested in coming on, he may, have to rip me a new one because I guess I'm more pro Buffa than the Zombie Dragon. But no disrespect to him because he's a great worker. I mean, he's a champion in MKW for a reason. How long has he been the champion in MKW?
Man, for like 500 something days.
What? Wow. So my man knows what he's doing. I mean, he's got a good record. And approximately how many champions have been there before him?
I think maybe 4.
Okay. So
off
there's
the
some
top
history
of my
with the
head,
title.
off the top of my head, Big Sam from the UK.
Big Sam,
that I mentioned before. He's a former champion.
Okay.
And there was another guy, Michael Sue, who was the guy that Zombie Dragon defeated for the belt. So
I was going to ask you that. What was his name?
I think it was probably more than that. Michael Sue.
That's who Zombie Dragon defeated.
Yeah. So
hopefully, if it's on the page, I'll check it out.
Like 5 or 6 champions.
All right, so we got some lineage.
Remember like 4.
Okay, so there's some lineage with the heavyweight title, and it was a unique looking title belt. I liked it. Had a different shape that I'm used to.
Yes. Yeah,
pretty
I like
cool.
the big championships.
I mean, I can see that fitting around your waist very nicely. So.
Oh yeah, I have a small waist when I'm, back on my diet. Which I should be now. But
well, they can always expand. They can always expand the title to wrap around the waist. So don't worry about that. But always work on the diet. Me currently, I'm on a seafood diet. Man. Everything I see, I eat. But that's a whole other story and a problem for another time.
That's been me the past few weeks.
Well, we were talking about that on the last
I won't say
podcast.
months.
Yeah, because you mentioned about how difficult it is to get the protein in. You mentioned the 7-Elevens out there. There's small portions of chicken. So
but
that's got to be challenging.
The thing. Yeah, in China and Japan, it was for a little while in Japan, it was tough.
Right.
But like I told you, like 01 had a lot of sponsors. So we had a restaurant sponsor. So they started providing us with like pounds of like chicken breasts and beef and stuff like that.
Right.
So it wasn't a problem anymore.
Oh, okay,
good. If we didn't have that sponsor, it would have been a huge problem. But in China, they have Walmart. So I get a nice big cut of beef.
Okay, so you guys have the main
chicken
outlets.
Breast.
Right,
yeah. And the main outlets, we have those here in China. They have them in Japan as well. But in China, it's pretty easy to eat clean,
Well, that's good because you got to stay healthy. You got to maintain the frame. I mean, me, I'm a big protein guy. I'm a big steak guy.
Mm-hmm.
I like wings. I like pizza. I mean, this wasn't built on salad, so I like all the good stuff. So if I'm ever to hang out in China, I just want to make sure you take me to the hot spot so I can eat correctly and enjoy them.
Man. That wouldn't be a problem at all, man. I know all the hot spots, the clean spots and the dirty spots.
Right. Well, you've been out there for so long, where I'm sure that it's through trial and error where you learn the good places to go versus the bad.
Oh man, for sure, man.
Yeah.
And me moving so many times, it's like
you got your education on the job.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I can tell.
That was good. I pretty much have everything I need. So
right.
It's not a problem. It's just me. Like, I just need to get my discipline back. Honestly, my discipline was on point at one point,
right,
and it showed in my body. But as time went on, it's like I kind of focused on other things. I wasn't too focused on, making sure my diet was on point, living in Japan, wrestling damn near every day and having to go to these sponsored dinners where I'm drinking and eating all types of food. Right. It's kind of hard,
Well, there's so much time in the day.
Point,
yeah.
It was still kind of hard at times. Like you said, it got to a point where I hated going to the sponsored dinners, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know I'm going to eat bad. I know I'm going to be drinking all this stuff, and I got to wrestle the next day hungover. I got to train and those the next day hungover. But, it comes with the territory.
Exactly. I mean? A lot of old school entertainers, they used to
just burn it off.
Yeah. A lot of athletes used to work on hangovers, like Babe Ruth when he played with the Yankees. My man was hungover. Sometimes I think he was even drunk when he was playing. I mean, so it happens. Yeah. I just watched recently the A&E documentary on the Macho Man Randy Savage, and they show a clip of him and Gorgeous George coming down the ring in WCW.
Yeah.
She's being interviewed, and she's saying that the two of them were so high when they were walking out, they barely remember what the hell they said. And if you watch it back, you're like, as you're watching, you're like, holy shit, they are high. But you don't think about it when you're watching because you're so involved as a fan that you're not thinking about their personal issues or what they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
You just want to be entertained and be pumped up at what you're watching. But getting back to what you said, it happens. You work injured, you work banged up, you work hungover.
Oh man,
it happens. And wrestlers don't get the credit they deserve. I mean, guys like you're on the road, 300 plus days out of the year, sometimes double shots.
Yeah, at one point, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they don't realize those bumps, those bruises, all that shit is real. And when people say it's fake, I want to literally bitch slap them when they say wrestling's fake because they don't get it, man. And we touched on that in the last episode. How you would love to get someone in the ring for a couple of minutes, and so would I, and just stretch the living shit out of them. And
honestly, I wouldn't even touch them. I'll just say, okay, run the ropes, back bump, front bump, side bump. Hey, go to that, man. You don't even have to touch them. I would love to stress them out, but I'd be like, you know what? That's too easy. I want to see them crumble.
Exactly.
Or for me not even laying a finger on them.
Between the rolls, the bumps, and running the ropes, the next day, I guarantee they'll be bruised from the ropes. Their gut will be killing them from bending over doing the flips. Yeah. And their neck and back, forget it. It'll be totally sore from all those bumps. You're right. You don't have to even touch them. Man. You're 100% correct.
You don't even have to. You don't have to touch them. Like, let them just bury themselves.
Exactly.
Let them grab the shovel and just...
It's right. Bury yourself. Yeah, here's the shovel. knock yourself out because I guarantee
sit back and watch.
you're gonna be crying like a little bitch when it's all said and done. And meanwhile, like you said, I didn't even put a pinky on you. You did it to yourself.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So easy.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, wrestlers don't get their due, and it's always bothered me because other sports, to me is entertainment, like baseball, football, hockey, basketball, but they all have the off season. Wrestlers don't have an off season. They work injured because they're afraid they're going to lose their spot. There is no, like I said, no off season, no time off. You guys got to hit that grind and keep going. And there's times sometimes that you can't even heal from one injury to another. How do you stay healthy? How do you deal with it?
Yeah, and I've been fortunate, man, extremely fortunate. Like I've had my fair share of injuries. Like I've broken my ankle. I've sprained my ankle multiple times. Like I said, I broke my nose multiple times. That was the most recent. In the match. Yeah, the match with Zombie Dragon, you see me just bleeding. Yeah. I could barely breathe throughout the match. Right. I could barely see because my eyes are watery, and I still finished the match. Right. I blew my knee out. I broke my sternum. Finished the match. I never had a match that I had to just leave because I was too injured.
When you broke your sternum, was that from hitting the turnbuckle?
No,
a turnbuckle shot.
It was no. It wasn't like the Bret Hart. I think he broke his sternum on the turnbuckle, or was it? I think it was
when he rolled to the outside.
But he used to take the turnbuckle so good.
That's why I said
outside that. The guardrail. I think that's where it broke his sternum. But me, it was a guy did the Cactus Jack apron off into the elbow
off the apron, right? Okay.
Yeah, and this was in the ECW arena, and there was no mat on the floor. He didn't tell me he was going to do this. He just did it out of nowhere, so I wasn't there to brace for it.
You didn't get to prepare or brace. Down. Right, right.
No brace. It just came out of nowhere, and I'm it literally took a year for it to fully heal.
Oh, yeah, that's no joke,
I was counting down the months, and it took a year for it to fully heal. So I broke my sternum. What else, man? It's so many different injuries. Blew my knee out a few times.
Yeah.
It was especially in Japan. Japan was tough, man. I was probably my most beat up in Japan because, like I said, in between shows we had to train at the dojo, and the ring inside the dojo was so stiff. So we in it in Japan they go hard. There's no, they not giving you a break.
No, that I know. I heard they're very stiff out there. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man. All the bumps and stuff like that. So everybody's beat up. I'm all beat up. My knee is blown out. My lower back is all jacked up. So I was feeling it in Japan, man. And I was also on the road, working. So it got tough, man. It got tough in Japan. But I think, honestly, man, eating right in between, drinking and partying and stuff like that, I was still eating right. I was still eating right, and I was still stretching. I wasn't doing things to I wasn't maxing out on my workouts, in the gym.
Right, right.
I was keeping it pretty safe. I took time off from the gym.
You got to start back slow, though.
I wasn't going to I wasn't jumping into the gym to do weightlifting.
Because you'll re-injure yourself if you do that.
Yeah. I just finished working out in the dojo doing this training for 3 hours. I'm not going to stay for 2 extra hours and weightlift. Nah, I'm going to go back to the house and I'm gonna rest.
Exactly. You got to heal up, stretch, and then work it in little by little with the workouts. You got to start light. So
I'm gonna go get a massage. Thai massage. Which is what I do now, especially out here in China, man. I do that at least once a month. I go to get the Thai massage. I get a strong masseuse to
to work out all the kinks.
Get in there, work out the kinks and stretch me out pretty good so that I'm good to go for my next set of tapings.
Right, sure.
So that's been helping out a lot.
Take me back to the sternum injury. That happened in the States or did it happen in Japan?
Oh, that happened in the States. So it was a tag match.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a tag match.
So when you got injured,
this was after Japan. This was 2012 or 13.
Okay, somewhere in between.
I think 2012 or it may be 2012. I think it was. Yeah, the sternum.
So when you injured the sternum, you said it took a year for it to heal. Does that mean you were out wrestling for wrestling for a year?
I was still wrestling, man. Out of all these injuries, I still wrestled.
That's a workhorse right there, man.
That's like one of my biggest fears was getting a major injury that required surgery. I never had to get surgery done. Like, even with my nose breaking it so many times, like, I was putting off surgery because I didn't want to miss a booking.
Just the time. That's an old school wrestler right there.
I was overseas. Yeah. Another thing, too, like, even when I had the surgery all set up, but I was back to Japan. The States, and I was doing, like, indie shows, I would have, like, taken the time off to get it done. But I'm overseas, so, like, I can't just, like, pass this up. I got to go.
Right.
So I just like, I'll get to it eventually. So that's where I'm at now. I'm just like,
well,
it is what it is. Like,
it is what it is. That's one of my famous sayings. But with the broken nose, even though it sucked for it to happen, I bet you that made a hell of a visual. You know, with the blood coming down. Yeah, man. That's hopefully the camera got that in, because that makes everything worth it. Makes injury worth it.
The camera caught it. Like, and it happened like. It was with the arm wringer where he did the like handstand flip and the kick. If you go back and watch it, you see the kick that catch me right here, head on. And that's where I like back off into the corner and I sit on the bottom rope and I'm checking my nose. I'm like, oh man, it's broke.
Shit, I broke it. Yeah.
I'm checking for blood and I roll out the ring. Then when I come back in, you see like throughout the match, you see the blood of my nose coming down, you see the blood of my mouth. So yeah, the camera caught it. I don't know if they spoke about it because, it's in Chinese.
Right.
I don't know if they talked about it, but yeah, you can see it, like the visual is right there. You see it head on.
Yeah.
But if you go back, like knowing this now, where it happened, if you go back and look at it, you'll easily be able to see it.
Okay.
Today.
Okay.
Yeah, 23. Yeah.
23. Okay. Because I'm going to have to look back and watch it, because I did watch the match earlier. And as I mentioned earlier, great back and forth action. I mean, you guys are like meant to wrestle each other, because it's like you guys know each other's, what's on your mind, your moveset.
Oh, yeah.
And you guys gel very well in the ring. And that's important in a match, because if there's a disconnect,
absolutely,
it could be all bad.
It could be, it could go somewhere else.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You have to gel, man. You have to. Pro wrestling is, like I always say, it's not a competition, it's cooperation.
Exactly.
And that's one thing a lot of people don't understand, man.
Yeah.
Like all these guys, it's like they're backstabbers, they're kiss
out for themselves.
Like,
yeah,
and I'm like, yo, that's not what the business is about, man. Like, if you people freaking understood what the pro wrestling business was about, like it'd be in a better place right now.
Better place, honestly. Right. They have to understand that both of you have to gel as a team in order to make the match work. And it's not about who wins or who loses.
No.
As long as you put on a great show and the crowd goes home happy, they don't care who won or lost. I mean, they're going to care for the person they root for, but either way, they're going to enjoy the match because, you guys put on a great show, and whoever went over, whoever took the fall, it really doesn't matter in the end, as long as you put on a good match. It's all about trusting each other and being able to gel well in that match. And like you said, people go into business for themselves, and, that's where there's no trust factor.
Yeah. The trust goes out the window, and it's like, you don't want to work with this person again because you're like, I can't trust him. He's going to do everything in his power to make me look bad. So it's going to get to a point where I'm just going to shoot on him in the ring.
Yeah.
And that's happened to me many times.
That's what I was about to ask you. Okay. Yeah, tell me about it.
Oh, man. Throughout the years, man, I would probably forget some of the shoots I had in the ring with some of these guys, man.
Yeah. You got to smarten them up,
Yeah, like, because, we're coming into the business. We're the smallest tag team in the freaking world at that point. So we wrestle all these big guys because, we could bump well, we could work well with anybody, tell a story, blah, blah, blah. So they want to put us against the big guys.
And the big guys so they can walk all over you. Yeah.
Yeah. So they think they can just walk all over us and do whatever the hell they want. It's like, nope. They found out real quick that, nah. So we start lighting them up with forms and freaking punches to the face and kicks and
not on my watch.
All that.
Yeah.
And we're skinny, so it's bone on bone
Yeah.
because we are puny at the time, so you feel every shot on a skinny guy. So it's like, man, guys are getting knocked out, busted open, and all this. So we built a reputation for ourselves where guys were scared of us, man. We got into so many situations where we almost got into like fights in the locker room and stuff like that. Guys freaking backing down to us at the time. We're skinny and all this, but we had heart.
Yeah, but don't think you can be able to take advantage of me being skinny. You showed them that you guys had heart. You can fight, and you got to get your respect one way or another.
It's like we've been fighting in the streets for like how many years? Like, look where we come from. So we're not gonna come into wrestling and have people try to walk all over us.
Exactly.
Because we're looking at it like wrestling. It's a business. Like at the end of the day, it's entertainment. Blah blah blah. So we're not gonna let these dudes get off of their ego and try to treat us like we're nothing. Like, hell no. Like, this is a work, so you ain't gonna step on us like we ain't nothing. Like, no, we're gonna show you that. Bro, you want to go outside and like really handle this? Like,
exactly.
Let's go.
Like, remember the neighborhood.
Then whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, like go work with anybody. Like to this day, I say that. I'm like, I won't even say I hate anybody. I just don't care for certain people.
Right.
But that
if you have a bad experience, it's a bad taste that's left in your mouth. And obviously, if someone gives you a bad experience and there's no trust factor, I mean, why would you want to work with them again?
Mm-hmm.
So the same shit happens?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, man. It's been so many situations like that with us at the time. And we would just like, we would let guys slide. Like, they would try to like throw in these stiff shots and stuff.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Thinking they're getting one up on us. And we would be like, all right, cool. So we wouldn't just react right after. We would let them think that they got one up on us, and we would just catch them out of nowhere. Boom! Light them up. Let them get a little more cocky and think they're in control. Then we just light them up. Then it just goes somewhere else. They either calm down or they leave the ring.
Right. Well, they better be careful because that boombox isn't too far behind, so that can always be entered as a foreign object.
Oh, it has been on, like, not the one that I have now, but some of the ones in the past. I've broken those things over guys' heads.
Really? left a standing, lasting impression on the skull.
I busted boom boxes over dudes' heads a few times. That's why I don't have those boom boxes anymore.
Right. Well, courtesy of the people who deserved it, I guess. But this new boom.
Yeah. The big one, once I got the big one, I was like, nah, it ain't happening.
Right.
It has a few war scars on it, but I'm not using that to bust me. But like a few people have like asked me like, oh, why don't you use it? I'm like, hell no.
Oh, that's a good looking boombox. You don't want to waste it on some dirt.
I'm like, for what? Like,
got all the miles on the airport, all the stickers.
I have fists, elbows, knees, feet, legs.
You got your whole body to use as an assault weapon. Yeah. Keep the boombox for the visual. Exactly.
My teeth, like, I can use everything else but the boombox. Like, nah, I'm not a heel anyways.
I was about to say, if you do that, that's a heel turn on your own boombox. You don't have to do that.
Like, nah, I'm not doing that.
So we were talking about
boombox do its own thing.
Exactly. Let it have the visual for the crowd. Lay it down as if we're a title.
That's what it's about.
Exactly, and let it do the work on its own.
Yeah.
But we talked about the injuries with your nose. Now, if there's a serious injury more, where not you, for instance, but someone who can't, go further in the match, do they do the Ref X in Middle Kingdom Wrestling like they do back here in the States? Or is there another way of saying, hey, this guy can't continue?
Honestly, man, I don't think there's, it's never been an injury that extreme.
That's severe, okay.
Yeah, they had to, like I said, with M.A., he, like, dislocated his shoulder in a match, but he straight left the match. He didn't pull up the X or anything. Like, I didn't even know about it. I was in the locker room, and I was the first person he came up to. And he was like, oh, man, my shoulder. I was like, what happened? He was like, oh, man, my shoulder is, I don't know what happened. Like, I fell and he was like, I feel the bone sticking up. So he took my wrist and put my hand on like the bone, and I felt the bone sticking out. I'm like,
you feel I'm
like, what the, like, huh? What? Because he wears like a like kind of like a long sleeve like compression shirt.
Okay.
So I couldn't actually see the bone like from the skin. I saw it like under the shirt.
You can feel like protruding out.
I felt it. Yeah, I'm like, what? And he's like, oh man, my shoulders. I don't know. Then he winds up leaving. He went straight to the hospital. I'm the only person he talked to. He took him so straight to the hospital.
Yeah.
And he has a dislocated shoulder with the bone sticking. I'm like, damn, man. Like,
yeah, man. That's a
lot of respect for him. That dude is
definitely.
like.
And he finished the match. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, it's incredible what you guys can do with the adrenaline flowing, you know?
Oh, yeah, for sure. With the adrenaline. Yeah, man. Absolutely, man. It's a powerful thing, man.
And now when you guys, like he went to the hospital now, anything that he had to have, like x-rays or whatever it was, that's on his dime, right? He has to take care of that himself. Nah,
Adrian covered it.
Oh,
that's one thing I have to give him credit for. Yeah.
That's great.
He covers like injuries.
Wow.
That are like severe like that. There hasn't been many, but like if a guy needs to go to the hospital, like
he looks out for his staff.
Covered.
Okay, that's great. Shout out to him for that.
For sure. Yeah.
That's really cool.
But they haven't been really like many like huge like injuries like that in MKW since I've been here. You know, I don't know about prior to me getting here, but yeah, that's like been the main one that I've seen.
Right.
Adrian, he looked out.
He looks out for the people there, which is good. Now, is there just a men's division in MKW, or is there also a ladies division?
There's COVID put a stop to that. There was going to be a big tournament, women's tournament, before COVID, and it was going to be like a big tournament
to crown a first ever champion in MKW.
I don't know if it was going to be the first ever women's champion, but it was going to be like a big cup, like a big trophy,
like a tournament. Okay.
Yeah, so it was going to be a big tournament, women's tournament for a big trophy or a cup or whatever. But I know that would have led to like a championship coming in. But once COVID hit, the plans got.
So perhaps in the future they may be able to do that once things get back more to normal.
Mm-hmm. They have women's wrestlers here. Yeah. Right. Well, they've had a few matches.
Oh, okay, because I saw one woman. She was more of a valet to some guy who was like a big dude. I was watching the match. Yeah. And it's kind of hard to hear who's who because of the commentary.
I think that was Queen Marie and Big Sam.
Yeah, I think that was it. Yes. So
now, Big Sam. Yeah.
So my question was whether it's a woman or a man. Do you guys in MKW have a lot of managers that take wrestlers to the ring, or is that like more?
Yeah.
There are a lot of managers involved.
There was a few.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a few. There was Queen Marie. She's with the stable. She's with Big Sam, Uncle Money, Ash Silver, Commissioner Al.
Okay.
He's with the stable as well, but because of COVID, he's in Hong Kong. So
right.
You know,
so now
COVID put a hold on a lot of managers coming in.
I can imagine. So now, do you guys have like an on-air commissioner role or like general manager that comes on, like the way companies like WWE do, or?
It would be Commissioner Al.
Commissioner Al. Yeah. Okay.
He's in Hong Kong right now. So
is Commissioner Al? Is he more for the company?
Videos. Yeah.
Or is he like a heel commissioner?
Does videos and he's a heel commissioner. He's
a heel commissioner. Okay.
Stable.
Makes it interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So he can make your life a living hell.
Yeah, but I don't. You know what? I'm not even going to say he wouldn't do that, but it would have been in his best interest to do that.
Understood.
Because I have a lot of homies in Hong Kong that could get to him pretty easily.
You best watch your back. Okay, because that's why I asked you. Because like when Triple H used to come out with Stephanie, they were the authority figure, and they would do things supposedly that was best for business, but it was best for them. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to see if Commissioner Al kind of fell in that category.
Yeah.
You better not try that shit with Buffa because you might get that boombox straight up the keister sideways.
Oh yeah,
with no Vaseline.
No Vaseline.
No Vaseline, the old-fashioned way.
Absolutely.
I hear you. But it sounds like you guys got a good thing going at MKW, and you got a nice cast of different characters, all different types of shapes, sizes, managers. Yeah. I mean, what else have I missed so far that you wanted to add about MKW, or just what's going on with your career in general?
as far as MKW, man, it's it's like COVID.
I know.
Man, if it was for COVID, I think MKW would be at a much higher point right now because there was a lot of plans of like doing a lot of big things with the company. But one good thing that happened during COVID is like they have these deals with these different like streaming platforms in China,
right?
Like Youku and Bilibili. So the exposure is getting out there within China for sure, and now with YouTube, so that's all over the states.
With the technology, right? Sky is still the limit.
Twitter.
I'm sorry, you said YouTube is banned
in China. So yeah.
You said YouTube was banned in China?
Yeah, YouTube is banned. Instagram, Twitter.
Why is that?
Man, I don't even know, man.
better yet, how does MKW put up their matches on YouTube if it's banned in China? How are they doing that?
Because like you could post stuff from China to like these sites, but if you live in China, you can't access these sites without a VPN.
Okay. You need a VPN app. Okay.
Yeah. So you could post from China to these sites, to these different social media accounts and stuff like that. That's not a problem. Yeah. But if you don't have a VPN, you can't access these sites like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
Right. Okay.
So it's good that they have these deals. Yeah.
Okay.
It's good they have these deals with these streaming sites within China.
Right, because the VPN that protects that person's account. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right, so it doesn't get tampered with. So basically, before the pandemic, obviously you didn't need to have the VPN. And you mentioned earlier, I think the shows were much better.
You still needed it.
Oh, you still needed it. Okay.
You still need the VPN, but it's just like because of the pandemic, like a lot of guys, like they have working relationships with like different companies within Asia, so they were bringing in guys and girls from Japan and Hong Kong and all these different countries from like Canada, the States and stuff like that. So there was a variety of different wrestlers in MKW coming through at that time, and open up the door for like a lot of work relationships with other companies, like either guys from China that go to like Canada or Japan, stuff like that. The door was open for so many different opportunities, but the pandemic closed that door. So everything is like in-house. It's like everything, like whoever's in China is on go for, opportunities, which is good for the Chinese guys.
Right. So now it's more in-house for them. So with the pandemic happening, besides people being stuck in certain areas where they couldn't come to the matches, did certain not by name, but did a lot of wrestlers get COVID, or they were just held up because of the pandemic?
No. Yeah, I haven't heard any any of the wrestlers getting COVID or anybody within the company getting COVID.
Just had social distance. Right.
Like, which is a miracle,
Yeah, thank God, right, of course.
But
of course.
Like I haven't heard anybody getting COVID within the company here in China.
Yeah.
So that's a great thing.
What was your typical house show attendance wise before COVID, numbers wise versus now?
Man, at the time we wasn't doing house shows. It was just main shows.
So at your best for the main shows, what would the numbers be like?
It was about, I would say about, like some of the places that they ran were like bars, so it wasn't like capacity wasn't that big.
Okay, so it was like a lower scale type of. Yeah.
Yeah, it was filled out. So say like 200.
Still not bad for indies. I mean, that's good.
200 and up.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because a lot of these places were like kind of small, but we ran in Shenzhen in this big, like this huge club. That was the last like live show we ran outside of like the mall show that we did last month.
Yeah.
But this drew like, man, it was a big place. It was about 20 300 to 500, something like that.
Wow, that's a hell of a turnout.
And this place was big, man. You know, and that's the first time we had ran there, so that the draw was pretty damn good. You know, that's probably one of the biggest draws they've had, honestly. Yeah.
So now you mentioned when you wrestle for MKW, it's about a 4-hour commute from where you lived. So if Buffa's walking around in the area where you guys are filming, like where the wrestling community is there to watch for the most part, are you approached on the street? Do people recognize you? What's that like?
Man, that's like in China. It's hard to say in China, man, honestly, because I get looks no matter what.
Well, right. We discussed that the last time.
I don't know if they notice me from wrestling or
just because you're standing out.
Just looking at me because I'm a foreigner. Right. Like in Japan. Yeah. People will notice me in the streets in Japan. Like
from 01 and promotions. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But in China, I can't really say, man.
Yeah.
I can't really say. Like I haven't had somebody come up to me like, "Oh, you're Buffa, right?"
Right.
Like somebody that was like a fan that seen me in MKW within China. I haven't had that. But I get the looks all the time, man.
Oh no, I'm sure you get the looks all the time. And I bet you when the pandemic starts to calm down, you'll get approached more often in the street than you'll be expecting, because once this calms down and there's more people involved going to shows and getting involved with MKW.
Oh yeah.
You'll be outside, maybe walking your dog or going to the market or wherever. I seen you on MKW. You're Buffa, right?
Yeah.
And, can you imagine if you walk in the street with the boombox? Forget it.
Oh,
you're either going to say, "Look at this crazy mofo," or "I know you from MKW, bro."
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, man.
It wouldn't be
your
any
fan
difference.
base little by little.
Yeah,
social media is the best.
I get the looks all the time, man. I get the looks all the time, so I wouldn't even really notice where they know me from. I'm just like, oh, yeah, whatever.
Well, you look like a celebrity to begin with, because you're big. The hairstyle, the whole look, the beard. I mean, you have that look about you that someone's going to say he's definitely somebody. I don't know where I've seen him.
Yeah,
but he's on something like a show or wrestler or football player or whatever. He looks like an entertainer.
I've had that happen. I've had that happen within China, in certain areas I was living at the time. Like people thought I was like a basketball player or football. They will always ask me what you do, and I'm like, oh, pro wrestling, body slam. They're like, oh, because I'm like, I don't look like a basketball player. I'm too, I'm too short and too big to be a basketball player. Like a football player, okay, I can see that, But a lot of times they think basketball, and I'm like, where the hell do you see basketball? I'm too big to be a basketball player.
You'll knock them down on the court. That's for
big
sure.
As me, and that's short. I used to play basketball, but I'm like, nah. Pro wrestling, then they taught them pro wrestling, body stand, fighting. Oh, okay. Then they could see it more. When you
say you're too short, you don't look short in the ring. What is your height?
I'm 6 feet.
Okay, I mean you're it's an average. So okay, so you're not like that short.
Average. Yeah. I'm average. I mean, well, nowadays in pro wrestling, I'm on the bigger side. I'm like a freaking heavyweight.
Well, yeah. Now they got
even though I am
smaller people. Yeah,
I'm a heavyweight for sure.
Oh, definitely.
The time of the Giants are going like this.
Yeah,
freaking 6'6" dudes. Those days are done, man. I'm a heavyweight.
I mean, not to sound funny or stereotypical, but being in China, you being 6 feet is like being 6'6" over here, because the majority of wrestlers aren't. In China aren't that tall. I saw a couple of guys that were big, but they were local people. They were Americans, I think.
Yeah.
The big guy I mentioned earlier with the valet.
Oh yeah, Little Johnny.
Little
Sam.
Johnny.
Big Sam is 6'6". I think Big Sam. I can
tell
6'6".
Little Johnny was.
He's like a throwback. Yeah, Little Johnny is. Yeah, about. Man, he's probably 6'7" or something like that.
So you guys have a mix, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, aside from Zombie Dragon, because I see he wears a mask, are there any luchadors in MKW or any other mask type wrestlers, or he's like one of the few?
He's. I think he was the only one up until recently. There's two. These two guys wrestled on the tapings today.
Right.
It's 2 masked wrestlers, but they're Chinese, but they're like luchadors. They're like Chinese luchadors.
Chinese luchadors.
So
Interesting.
They wear masks.
Okay. Hey,
Yeah,
it's good. It's good to stand out. You know, be unique.
8 masked wrestlers.
Yeah.
It's about 3 of them now.
I like how the zombie dragon has the green mist, like we mentioned earlier with Tajiri. I saw him, spit the mist in the face. I was like, oh shit, I haven't seen that in a long time. So that was like surprising.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
So getting back to the Buffa character, like I see your ring gear, which is really cool. It reminds me of the 80s, when they started wearing the pants kind of low with the boxers sticking up.
Oh, sagging.
I have to ask you, man, is that a one-piece outfit or a 2? Because I don't know how you wrestle with like that. Because if that would mean I'd be walking penguin style with my pants down to my ankles.
Man. Yeah. I get asked that question so many times, and I just need to clear this up because sagging, it gets confused with like sagging in prison.
Right.
Like sagging in prison means something completely different than what I grew up on.
Right.
The only reason why we used to sag our pants in like junior high school is because at the time, this is before the baggy jeans era.
Okay.
So you would get made fun of if you could see your socks under your jeans. We used to call jeans that didn't go over your boot or sneakers. We used to call them high waters.
High waters, right? I remember that. Yeah.
So if you could see your socks,
right, you were in high waters.
Jeans, you get made fun of. So, and those like for like kids at the time, teenagers. Those were the only like jeans you could get in like clothing stores. So we would sag them. So
that's where it started.
Have high waters. Yeah, so that's where it started for me. And like a lot of guys,
I've always been curious. Like, how did that trend start? How did that look start?
Yeah. Like
makes sense.
New York. That's a New York
right.
thing. Like anywhere else, I don't really know.
Yeah.
And I know prison, it means something completely different. So that's why I had to clear that up because I'm like, nah, sagging to me meant something completely different. Right. So like I said, I took from like my childhood. I'm just like bringing it to like 2000 and 21, 2000 and freaking 19, 20, whatever. I started
different
sagging.
Times you put, right.
Well,
with
I'm bringing it up
legal,
to date.
You had the one long pant leg and you had the short one.
Yeah.
So that was part of the look back in the day too. I remember people.
Yeah, for sure.
They'd roll the pant leg.
Sweatpants.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it started with the sweatpants. We used to do it with sweatpants because like the bottom of the sweatpants are like tighter, it has an elastic. So when you pull it up, it'll stay in place. Like with the jeans, you kind of got to roll it up and all that. So
exactly,
it takes a little more effort.
The ring gear you guys used to wear were cool because it stayed, it was made that way, so it stayed perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but that came from LL Cool J. We got that from LL Cool J, and we brought the sagging back as well because nobody was really doing it. So the whole sagging thing with my gear, it's a one piece.
Okay.
That's why
that's what I thought it was because it stays perfect the whole match, and I'm like, that's got to be a one piece.
And that's the thing. It doesn't. I've been tweaking it over the years, like because when I get my gear made, that part of my gear is like it's so hard for like the designers to understand it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because like the actual pants part, outside of like the boxer briefs showing, the pants have to be a little bit shorter.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be more at the crotch, so because I have to kick and jump and stuff like that. It can't be sagging too low because I won't be able to like jump on anything or like raise my leg.
Right. Yeah.
So it has to be more like towards the crotch. Like it has to be like the actual pants need to be cut down a little like shorter. So when I add the boxer briefs to it, everything's in place like regular pants. So it's a one piece.
Right, because if it doesn't fit the right way, it's going to refrain you from moving. It's right. It's going to cut you. It's going to cut you back. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So I've been trying to get that thing. I'm trying to, man. It's so hard, man. I have like a different vision for it that I'm going to go with, like moving forward. It's going to be like actual jeans, so it's going to be like you're going to be able to see like the like the button of the jeans and like the zipper part. It's just gonna be hanging out like this, as if like I got my pants as open.
Right.
I think it would give off the effect better as to what's going on with my gear.
Right. I hear you.
Because sometimes if it's not sagging enough, people don't really understand like the look I'm going for.
Right. Unless they know the history of where it came from.
Yeah. So I'm like, I need to have it sagging a little bit more. Then I think I have to add like I have to make the pants look like actual pants. Like before, I was going for more like a sweatpants type look to the actual pants, like my gear. So I'm gonna go for more like jean pants look with like the button on top with the zipper for the fly and all that, and just have it open so people can get the full visual. Because that's what I'm all about, the visual.
Exactly. So what we discussed earlier.
Once they see it, they
very important.
They know exactly what's going on. Yeah.
Now, where do they make your ring gear? Is it in China, or do they make the ring gear back in the States?
Oh man, I had a number of guys that made my gear. Like in the States, there was a guy that used to wrestle named Spider out of NYWC. Okay. He's one of the first guys that made our gear with the whole like boxer brief.
Right. The whole look.
Like he's the one that put that together, the first one to do it. Then I was going to like main event gear at the time. They make like a lot of WWE guy stuff. Oh man, so many different guys, man. And I have a guy in the Bronx that was making my gear too, Bronco International.
Okay.
He's a wrestler too. He's the promoter for Bronx Wrestling Federation, BWF, out of the Bronx.
Right.
He was making my gear as well. And I had a guy I had two guys in Japan that was making my gear.
Okay, so you got several people. Now, that's good.
Yeah, I was going through so many guys because I was just like, some guys, like, they were so booked with other people that, the turnaround time wasn't as good. So I had to like try different people. So now, like I told you, my girlfriend, she has her own clothing company.
Right.
So her designer is like doing my gear now. So
okay. That makes sense actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
That way you can try everything out at your convenience, make sure it fits right.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to have that inside track. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, finally, because I'm in China. Like, everything's made here, so why not? Like,
exactly.
Branch out to like these different like designers and factories to like make my stuff,
And you're in the area, so you can try it on, make sure everything is correct before you move forward with it. And I also noticed when you wrestled, you had the Nike high tops you were wearing. So here's my question. I saw the big ass tongue sticking up like it was old school. It looks like there were no laces. How do you run around in the ring, and how do they stay on? What's the secret? Tucked underneath?
That's the visual. That's the visual. Yeah. Like, what I do is they're tied up.
That's what I figured it had to be, because you'd be flying out of them like Matt Riddle. I mean, they'd be kicking off, big time. They have to be tucked under, the tongues tied or something.
Yeah, man. They're tied up for sure. They're from like, I think the third hole, I pull the tongue out and pull the tongue over the laces.
Over the laces, yep. That's what I used to do.
It looks like they're not tied up,
Yeah.
But they're tied up in the back. Behind the laces, they're tied up to the top.
Yeah.
Just to give that to the look of it not being there not being any laces in it.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day in school, you wore them, and someone would try to walk behind you and give you a flat foot. They try to step on the heel to get your foot to come out of the shoe. That was like the big thing in high school.
Yeah.
You guys would be giving your ass a flat foot. So I learned, and like you, I would tie it good so they can step on that shit all they wanted. All you gotta do is piss me off. You're not gonna take my shoe off because I got that shit, secretly tied, man, on the down low.
You have to.
Yeah, because like your style wrestling, you're running, you're flipping. I mean, you're an active guy in the ring. So I said to myself, if they're not tied, he's got them crazy glued to his feet because they're not going anywhere, and they look like they're not tied, but that's the illusion. They have to be. Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely tired, man, for sure. Because we, like I said, we was going for the Run DMC look. They didn't have laces in there, shell toes. So I'm like, damn, how can we get this effect?
I was about to ask you that because we mentioned the Run DMC in the last podcast.
Yeah.
What did you think of my visuals I put up during the podcast? Did you like those pop-up visuals? Pretty cool, right?
So good. I forgot to even mention that to you, man, because I watched the interview back. And I was like,
okay,
oh, wow, that's cool as hell, man. Like,
well,
got the
you gotta have
pictures
some
up and
pop-ups
all
here and
that.
there. What we're talking about,
Yeah,
make
it's all in line. I'm like, it's perfect, man. Yeah, it just added to it, man.
I want this to be a great experience for you, for future people being on.
It is, man.
Referrals for everything.
It definitely is.
I'm looking forward to getting, the whole cast from MKW to come on, and then, we'll venture out from there. Whether it's in the dojo, whether it's behind the scenes right before a match.
Oh, man.
Put you on the podcast.
Yeah, that's it.
Or if we can have like an after,
that's a good idea.
An after party, like say once the matches are over on one of your live MKW shows, we can have you guys come on backstage talking about the matches, or just not giving it all away, but a little bit to get them to engage, so they'll watch the show when it drops on YouTube. So we can do that, like they do that in WWE. They have like after the matches, they have the bump. They have people come on, right directly.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. Yeah,
so to do something like that would be, I think, be very good for both of us. That way we get the product out for MKW.
Hey,
come on the podcast. Yeah, that would be awesome.
I'm totally with that. Yeah,
I think it would work out well for everybody. All right, so you know what? We discussed a lot about MKW, and I pretty much got a good foundation down about how you started out, where you currently are. Take me back to Japan when you worked with 01 Wrestling. How did that all come about? And how did you have, how did your run start there? Take me, through the whole thing with 01, since we never really touched on it.
Yeah. 01 came about, like I mentioned before, it was international tryout.
Okay.
And, I contacted the promoter, and at the time the tryout was taking place already, so we got invited over, my brother and I, to do the tryout that they was having the following year.
Okay.
So it's 2011. So we get invited there. My brother has to stay back because his second kid was born.
Right.
So I went alone, and I was there by myself, and I was doing like tag. I was a part of a tag team with Havoc from WXW.
Right.
So after he left, I stayed, and I was doing singles. So when I returned back with my brother, we was doing like tag team wrestling, and we was doing a tag team tournament at the time. So after my brother stopped wrestling, and I went back in 2014, I was doing the singles. Now at the time, before that, we will always mention how we was going back to Japan, because we already knew that, we was welcome back. We made such a good impression that they wanted us to come back, and
eventually you'd be back
there. Yeah, they was going to get us our work visas.
Right.
It's close to like really breaking out to like a bigger promotion.
Okay.
So we already knew we had Japan set. So that's another reason why we didn't really like jump on Japan right then and there, because things was working out in the States. Things were getting better. So it's like, if anything, we have something to fall back on if things don't work out.
It's always good to have that backup plan.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. You always have to have a plan B and C. I even say a plan D.
Sure. It's good to have multiple plans, man, because if something falls through out of nowhere, because it can always happen, where a company goes bankrupt, or they change their who they want to have go over, who they want their champion. Anything can happen at the drop of a dime. So it's nice to have that backup.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Like, take me, for example, man. Like, my brother decided to, leave the business out of nowhere, man.
Yeah.
Like,
it's something unexpected came up. I mean, being a dad, like we discussed last time, is a huge responsibility, and your life changes like that.
You're not gonna be them. Like, they only like became a team because of wrestling. They didn't know each other prior to that, to get into the business. So I'm like, that's not gonna happen with us. We never wanted that, But when life comes and hits you with some lessons, you either stand up or you fold.
Exactly. Well, that's when you ventured out into a solo career.
Yeah, I had no choice, man.
Yeah.
So when Japan was at my fingertips, I just had to, I had to grab it,
Right. How long was
take it all in and embrace it.
Right. How long was your run at 01? How long were you there for?
2011 to from 2011 until 2017.
Oh, so that was a long run. You were there 6 years.
Like it was, it was a long run, man. And when I moved out there in 2014, that's when it was legit. You know,
okay.
I was living in Tokyo. I'm paying taxes. I have a residence card. I have a work visa. You know,
wow. Yeah.
I'm in deep.
Yeah. So sounds like it.
That's when everything like took off. That's when I really learned what it was like to be a pro wrestler. You know, I don't consider myself an indie wrestler. I consider myself a pro wrestler. I'm not an indie wrestler. I'm not a weekend warrior. This is what I do for a living.
Right.
You know, this is what I always wanted to do. Like I mentioned before, like my brother had side jobs. That's not to say I didn't have side jobs as well. Like I did as well. But I had like these odd jobs. I had these off the book jobs that I could easily like walk away from because
while you were starting out
pro wrestling. Yeah, I was focused on pro wrestling, you know. So I was like, I'd rather have a job that I can easily walk away from without any regret.
Yeah,
you know, without like damaging my resume. You know, if I try to get a job somewhere else. So that's why I always took on like the construction jobs, you know, maintenance jobs.
Plus, it'll keep you in shape in the meantime. I mean, construction jobs are no joke.
Yeah, bouncing.
Maintain the frame. I mean, you know.
Yeah, things like that, you know. So I was working as well on the side too, but I wasn't as consistent as my brother. He was working like these, like, you know, on the books jobs.
Right,
you know, doing well. So when I moved to Japan, I was like, oh man, this is what it's like to be a pro wrestler. Like, to make a living off of pro wrestling.
This is the actual grind. This is what it's like.
Yeah, this is this, and it changes your mentality.
Sure.
Because now you have to you have to look out for your body, man. Like
it's now put up or shut up now, because now you're in the big leagues. Now you're doing things on your own. It's like a dose of reality, man. It's like welcome to reality. Here we go. Buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Double time, because the security net is gone. You're living in a foreign country. you know?
Sure. It's a whole different world, man.
You make a living based off of you. Like, everything that you put out is like, you can't run home to mommy or daddy.
No, those days are over. Now you're on your own, and you have to make it work.
What do you want to do? So I had to really step up. It matured me a lot, man. So, like I said, I give them more the credit in the world, man. Like, things didn't end the way I wanted it to, but
we're going to get to that part. Let's start from the beginning with 01. When you were wrestling there, like MKW, you told me you guys do your weekly TV tapings.
Mm-hmm.
What was like a typical, work rate with 01? Did you guys have weekly shows, or was it a little different? Take me through the process.
Man, it was like a touring show. It was like no different than WWE. Like they would tour all over like the Northeast, tour all over
different venues.
West Coast. Okay. Yeah, they had their markets, you know.
Yeah.
Like Nagata, Osaka, Tokyo was their main. Yeah, Tokyo was their main city that they were worked out of. It was like WWE with like Northeast, like New York, Madison Square Garden. Like Tokyo was 01's like #1 spot, but they would tour out to Osaka and Nagata, different areas in Japan. So
were the matches recorded, or?
Oh yeah. Like they had their big shows, which would run out of Corrigan Hall every month.
Okay.
And they would do like their TV tapings and stuff for Samurai TV. So those would be like kind of like the smaller shows, but they would have like one big show every month in Corrigan Hall. This is like the Madison Square Garden of Japan.
For over there. Now, when you wrestled there, you were also Buffa and the Boombox.
Oh yeah. I was Buffa since day one.
Since day one out in Japan, because you were in Japan before you were in China.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Okay. Yeah. So the whole time you've been overseas.
That's where Buffa was created.
Buffa was created overseas. Okay.
That's why I never changed my name.
Right. I don't blame you. I would keep it. Whatever works, you keep. I mean, over a transition of time, wrestlers go through different gimmicks, different names until something clicks. You know, like you had Stunning Steve Austin, you had the Ringmaster.
Because
it took a while to become Stone Cold. And a lot of times your gimmick, your name will happen out of nowhere when you're least expected.
Oh yeah.
So the person who gave you the Buffa name,
absolutely,
you made it work. Into your credit, you put the whole gimmick together with real life stuff that happened in your childhood, like you mentioned.
Oh yeah.
The whole rapper look, from the Kango hat to the glasses to the jumpsuits to the tongues with the sneakers sticking. I mean, all that is all you just turned up. So now you were in 01 for 6 years. During your time there, did you have titles? Did you have any title shots or any title runs? Tag?
Oh man, I've had multiple title shots. Like I've had shots at the heavyweight title because at the time 01 had a working relationship with the NWA.
Okay.
So they had like the original like NWA United National Heavyweight Champion, which I won eventually. Yep. And they had a working relationship with the AWA. So they have the old like original AWA heavyweight belt.
Oh wow, that's impressive.
So
as you can see, I don't have the AWA. I got the NWA and I got the NWA television title back there, but I don't have the AWA.
Yeah,
may have to get that for the collection.
Hey man, I don't know if they're selling it, but
well, there's a will, there's a way. I mean, that's why they have replicas.
Yeah.
But so now,
that's one thing I loved about them. They kept it with tradition, So I've had multiple shots at like different titles.
Yeah, I'm big on tradition myself.
Junior heavyweight, tag titles, like man, like I've had so many. Like it was so many plans for me to do a lot of things there. You know, I just wish things would have worked out. But with wrestling, believe it when you see it.
Well, Pro Wrestling 01, you were one-time United National.
A lot of things happening.
Right, you were a heavyweight champ one time at 01.
Yeah, the heavyweight champ.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was the one credit for Buffa to becoming a heavyweight champion. So I mean, personally, I see a nice future for you becoming a champion again. What do you think has held you back as a singles competitor up to this point while you haven't been able to get the title?
Man, I can't stay put.
That's not a bad thing usually. That's a good thing too, because you want to keep moving,
If you notice with a lot of these tag team championships that we won, the reason why it's like one time is because we were booked so much that
you were moving around.
We was holding championships under company. So a lot of these championships we were stripped of. We never actually lost them.
Actually, legit lost, right? They had a strap. They had to take the straps because you guys didn't meet the 30-day or 60-day. Contractual obligations.
Yeah, that's the reason why it's like one time, maybe 2 times. That's exactly why. Like we've been stripped of more titles than we've actually lost.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Now the heavyweight title in 01, how long did you hold the title for?
6 months.
6 months. That's a pretty good run, especially in the Indies, man. Because Indies things go really quick. So 6 month run is not too bad, man. Not too shabby.
That was a good run, man.
Yeah.
But it was a little man. This is another reason why that led me to leave the 01 because I won a heavyweight belt and you would expect me to start moving up the ladder.
Right, up the ladder, so to speak. Right.
Yeah. So they had me losing non-title matches to former champions. Instead of building
you up for the future, they kind of backtracked.
Instead of having me defeating these former champions, I'm losing to them in non-title matches. Like, what sense does that make? How does that keep me strong as a champion?
Exactly. Now, let me ask you this. If there were a build to it and a reason why over a course of time, then you would be okay to that. But just out of nowhere to lose to some former person with no build, no story, no reason, that to me makes no sense. Yeah. I see where you're coming from.
It was so random, man. It was so random. I'm like, huh? I would of course I would win title matches. Like whenever I was defending the title, I would win these matches. But when it came to like it was kind of like it reminded me of like when Rey Mysterio won the heavyweight belt, but he was losing every match in non-title matches, and it's like
now out of nowhere you win. Yeah,
like what's the point of having him in non-title matches and losing? Just don't have him in non-title matches. Like that's not gonna make him. It's not gonna keep him strong as a world champ.
Plus, for him, they made it too obvious.
When that was happening, I'm like, huh? Yeah.
Because he said in the Rumble,
against these freaking giants and all that.
Exactly.
Like, I was wrestling giants.
Yeah. I think Rey Mysterio turned around and he said, you know, I'm going to dedicate this Royal Rumble to Eddie Guerrero. So as soon as he said that, I said, okay, he's going to go over at the Rumble. It's obvious. Yeah. And that's telling me that they're already going to groom him to be a champion. No surprise element. No build, no holy shit moment. Just like, oh, okay, that's what we're gonna do. See, I'm with you with that. You know, you have to do something that has a purpose. You want that build. You want to be surprised as a fan. And you want it to, as a worker, you want it to make sense for your character why you're going over or why you're going to do the job. You want to have, you want to have, you know, you want to have it make sense and actually know why you're doing something. Everything, every action has a reaction. And you want to be able to be informed properly why it's being done. Not, hey, Buffa, by the way, you're not going over tonight. You're going to drop the title to so-and-so. It's like, why? He hasn't even been in the mix. See, that's where I'm with you. It makes no sense.
Oh, man.
Totally with you. I get it. Because that's the equal mentality. Makes total sense.
It's funny you mix that, you mentioned that because that's exactly how I lost the belt. It was a situation like that.
Okay,
like somebody that wasn't in the mix wound up coming back to the company and putting down some demands. And it just so happens his like first match in the company, he's winning the belt from me in a 3-way.
With no explanation.
And I'm like, I saw the writing on the wall, man. Like,
right.
I'm just like, politics, man. Politics get it, man. Because I don't play them because I don't need to.
Exactly.
Like, and it always gets me because I get to the point where I'm just like, all right, whatever. I'll just go somewhere else and make money. Like,
exactly.
I don't fight it. I don't fight it. I'm like, okay, I see what it is. I'm out.
Right. You try to leave it. You try to leave it a better place when you leave. But if you can, and it's beyond your control, and if you have a better opportunity to go somewhere else, why not take the chance? I mean, you were there 6 years. You had a 6-month run as a champ, so that's not too shabby. That's not too bad. So you were in you were a tag team in 0-1 Wrestling as well, or no? You did more singles.
Oh yeah, I was in the tag team as well. Like with my brother. We was a tag team there called the Buffa Brothers.
The Buffa Brothers, right, okay.
Yeah, and the only reason why they really changed our name because, you know, Japanese people can't pronounce certain, like, letters.
So it makes it easier.
Words.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Buffa and Murda, like, they was like, give you something easy. That's why they changed it to Buffa.
Right.
So he was brother Buffa.
Brother Buffa.
Because he came as Murda, and they was like, Mother. He's like, no, Murda. And he was like, mother.
And they say mother,
like,
mother.
No. Yeah. So they just called them Brother Buffa as like Buffa brother. Buffa's brother. And they called us the Buffa Brothers, but
to make it easier.
Yeah. So after my brother stopped wrestling, I started teaming up with Brother Yashi.
Brother Yashi. Because I was just looking at some.
He used to be in Torimon and Dragon Gate. You know, he was trained by like Ultimo Dragon. Ultimo Dragon had his company Torimon years ago. He has like the dreadlocks like me. He has like the old school like hip hop style. He's into reggae and all that. So
all the old school stuff. Sure.
Yeah, he was a perfect mix. Like if I was one team with anybody else outside of my brother, I would rather be Yashi because like me and my brother grew up watching him because we used to always like do the tape trading and we would like tape trade for Torimon tapes. And we saw Brother Yashi. And he had like kind of like an X-Pac style. You know what I mean? So we was like instantly like drawn into him. You say,
so from watching them as a fan and then getting to work with them. That's a hell of a story. That's great.
And that was pretty much like his core. Always, you know.
Yeah, I hear you. So when you were with your brother,
things don't go to plan.
In 01, I have other tag teams besides All Money Is Legal? You wrestled as the House Party. The New Samoans.
The New Samoans. That was the whole deal with Havoc.
Okay.
That was the whole deal with Havoc, man.
Okay.
Yeah, that was with Havoc from WXW. His name was Zuffa. So the deal was like my brother and I were supposed to come in as a team, and Havoc from WXW, which is the Wild Samoans company.
Right, in Pennsylvania.
So Alpha and Alpha Junior. So it was supposed to be Alpha Junior and Havoc as the New Samoans.
Oh, okay. But interesting.
Something happened where Alpha Junior couldn't come, then my brother couldn't come, so they wound up making me Buffa and wound up teaming us two up as the New Samoans.
So did you adapt? You adapted the name Buffa in the States?
No, in Japan.
It was in Japan. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, I got confused for a second. Okay,
because it was Zuffa. Havoc was Zuffa, and I was Buffa. So they just threw me in there with him as a tag team, and I was just like,
it kind of makes sense. I mean, whether it's short term or long term, like they say, card subject to change. So with the Samoan,
it was nothing against him. Like he's a solid worker, man, and a good friend. But I was just like, man, I'm coming off of All Money Is Legal run. I'm like, I got this whole vision of us being out there as a tag team and all this.
Yeah, you're seeing one picture,
my name,
and it's something. Yeah. That's classic, man.
And they showed me another picture, and I'm just like, I don't recognize this picture.
Exactly. What's this? What's this all about? Yeah.
But I made it my own, man. Like when they gave me the part-time lover thing, because they wanted me to get over as much as possible. I was like, I just embraced it. Changed up my entrance and started strutting and all that stuff like copyright. So he decided to use Jam On It because it kind of fits,
Yeah, because I figured Jam On would be a better entrance song. For you to come to the ring.
Yeah.
It's like a breakdancing thing with the radio.
Mm-hmm.
So you're unable to do that.
Like, a lot of people don't really understand the whole part-time lover thing. I'm saying it was developed in Japan. Like when I explain it to them, they're like, "Oh, okay, we get it." But I can understand how they don't really understand it. Like when they first see it, they're like, "Why are you coming out to Stevie Wonder, but you got a boombox with the old school look?" Like in Japan, they really don't.
Once it gets into the middle and you're coming around the turns, I mean, it's a great song. But how are you able to use Part-Time Lover, but you can't use Jam On It?
Oh, man. I don't know, man. I guess because it's not that well-known of a song, I guess. Because Stevie Wonder,
you get to use it without having any hassle. That's
good. Yeah. You get straight with the quickness playing some Stevie Wonder.
So you've been using Part-Time Lover since 01 Wrestling.
Yeah, 2011. I never,
throughout Japan,
I never changed
Asia.
The name or thing. Yeah.
And
that's my theme song.
That's awesome. So you've had that song for several years now.
Yeah, I even used it in the States, but like a lot of people was telling me like, man, the fans really don't get it. So why don't you just go back to the old LL Cool J theme? So I was just like, all right, cool.
I can see you using LL Cool J or Jam On It here in the States. But if Part-Time Lover works overseas, because for some reason that's like a well-known song to them, I'd stick with it.
Yeah.
Definitely would stick with it.
Yeah, man. Like they don't really like in Japan. It's funny because they consider like hip hop reggae. They don't really like understand the difference between the two. So that's why they gave me the nickname American Reggae.
So
even though it's really supposed to be American hip hop.
Right.
Yeah.
American reggae. They're taking two things different and they're putting it together.
So it's like,
I guess, go with the flow.
Is like considered hip hop. Yeah. So I was like, all right, cool. Because, Brother Yassi represents, reggae. And I'm like, I was teaming up with him at the time. So I was like, all right, cool. They consider reggae hip hop. So I'm like, it works for me. I love reggae too. So,
you go back to the hood in the Bronx and they'll be like, what the hell's that, man? Hip hop reggae together. Like, what are you talking about? No, man, it's Japan. Like, it's not here. It's two different things.
I'm telling them, like, hey, man, that's how they are in Japan. That's what they vibe on. They love the reggae in Japan, man. Hey, I'm just rolling with the punches. So now, whatever works for me.
Whatever works, exactly. You have to do what's best for you. Now, with that said, in 0-1 as a face and MKW as a face, was there more of a reaction in one company than the other, or was it pretty even down the line with the fan reactions?
I would say it was better in Japan because there was more fans.
Okay.
And
plus also the pandemic, getting back to that again. That's why.
Yeah. Even before the pandemic, there was more fans in attendance. You know, there's more fans in attendance, and in Japan, I'm wrestling on like Samurai TV, so people are aware of who I am. They know me. In China, they, you know, maybe the first time they're coming to a wrestling show, you know, so they don't know who anybody is. So it's just like, I would get a good reaction in Japan for sure, but it's not the same as Japan. Okay. Nah, not at all.
So now the pay-per-views out there was on Samurai TV. You did pay-per-views for 0-1.
Yeah, that was the first year I was in that was in 2011. I did a pay-per-view for them. But it wasn't on Samurai TV. It was like the Sky Perfect TV.
Okay.
That's like their big cable company in Japan at the time. So it was in Sumo Hall, which is one of the big like arenas in Japan, in front of like 10,000 fans.
Wow, that's awesome. So you had it was a singles match, I take it?
No, it was like a 8-man tag or something like that, a 10-man tag.
Oh wow, interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff goes on in 8-man, 10-man tags.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. Just to be, that's my first time on a pay-per-view. So
little jitters, a little nervous.
Man, just seeing like that building. At first, yeah, but once I walked through that curtain, man, I was at home.
The adrenaline. Once you open the curtain, you walk out to the crowd, you start the match, and then you're at home.
This is everything I've been fantasizing about, dreaming about.
Everything you've been waiting for, sure.
Yeah, like don't drop the ball now. Better get on your game. Better step it up, bro. Like
put up or shut up.
Go.
Exactly.
Put up or shut up. Gut check time. Like let's go. Yep. I was hyped. I was ready to go,
said.
Man. It was good.
So now that you're on your own singles wrestling, how often do you keep in touch with your brother? Does he give you any advice saying, hey, listen, I saw your match. Maybe you should do this or try doing that? Does he like try to educate you still or say anything? You know, commentary?
Like a little bit, like here and there, like man, my boy Eddie Guapo. Shout out to Eddie Guapo. Like, yes, he wrestled Slick at Slick's return match at Shockwave.
Yeah.
He's a great guy to have up on a podcast because he's like so influential in like so many guys' careers.
No, if you can help me make that happen, I'd be game to do it. No doubt.
Easy. Like
I trust your judgment.
That's not a problem. Like he needs the spotlight, man, because like we talk all the time. Like he's like a mentor of ours. Like after the Doghouse closed, he's one of the guys. Him as well as the Dead Presidents, Boogaloo and Lowrider.
I remember them, sure.
Yeah, they took us under their wing and they really helped us out a lot. So big shout out to them. Like that's family right there. Like inside and out the ring, man. Those guys. But Eddie Guapo, he's one of the guys that keeps up with all my stuff. Like my brother does as well. So he'll give me like little like insight here and there. But Eddie Guapo is the one that's like always on top of me.
He's like a mentor to you, and he kind of like keeps you in check and tells you what's working versus what doesn't, or try doing this as opposed to that.
He's like,
good to know.
He's like, send me everything, because he's such a great worker, man.
He's
like,
still working,
such a great promo. Nah, he's like already in the corporate world at the time, but he loved wrestling, so he went to Doghouse to train. So you know, he wasn't like a lot of us like didn't have anything but wrestling, you know. But he was on the indies for a while, and it got to the point where, you know, he just stopped wrestling. Like he's done tours like overseas in like Italy, and he had a good run as well. But he just got to the point where he just is like, you know what, man, it's just not working out anymore, you know?
Yeah, people don't realize
Northeast Indies just dropped. Yeah, the Northeast Indies like took such a hit at one point. It just wasn't even worth wrestling anymore. So he just like stepped away, but he's doing great now, man.
And, well, that's good. That's good to know.
I speak to him all the time.
When I met you
every day, so he's on it.
Yeah, when I met you back in the day, back then in the indie scene, the tag team scene was just as good as the single scene. There were a lot of opportunities because it wasn't saturated, like you mentioned on the last podcast, the way it is today. So back then, you know, people had the platform to perform, and there were just a couple of local indie promotions between New York and Jersey, where if you were in that company, you were considered very lucky to practice your craft and, you know, perform your matches in front of crowds because it wasn't as overly saturated as it is now. So to have that opportunity was able to get you guys to the dance and make you, you know, progress as you went along. And obviously look where you are now. You're wrestling as a single star out in China now. So, you know, you laid the foundation in the States. And, you know, it's great to see where you are now. And with Eddie Guapo as a mentor and your brother kind of needling you here and there, telling you what works versus what doesn't. It's always good to listen to certain commentary as long as it's coming from someone that actually knows what they're talking about.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. I trust them. Exactly. Of course, obviously, you know.
Because sometimes you'll get some guys talking shit. Meanwhile, they're not even in the business. And they're saying, oh, you should try this or that. It's like, bro, who are you? You don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, man.
Someone like Guapo who's established or your brother, at least you're in good company, you know?
Oh, man. I've been so fortunate, man. Like, it's kind of tough, man, because from where I came from, the doghouse, you see a lot of the guys that came out of the doghouse.
Right.
My brother and I, like, we didn't get as much help as you think we could have gotten or we should have gotten. Like, there were certain guys in the doghouse that was like, you know, you could say rookies, and like the veterans from the doghouse would look out for them.
Right.
You could just look at the names. We, like, my brother and I, we were never those guys. Like I said, the only ones that really looked out for us in the doghouse after the doghouse closed was Eddie Guapo, you know, Lowrider, Boogaloo, you know. Like, everyone else from the doghouse, they didn't look out for my brother and I. Like, I'm not saying, oh, get us booked here, get us booked there. No, we didn't need that. Right, you know, our work spoke for itself. Our work got us in these places, you know. We didn't need them at the end of the day, but it would have been good for them to be, like, behind us, like, giving us advice and stuff like that. And these are guys that we reached out to on multiple occasions. But whenever we did, they was like, oh, yeah, you know, can you call me back? I'm busy right now. You called them back, they don't answer the phone.
Exactly.
It was like little, like, nonsense like that. So
you learn who the true friends are and who aren't.
Yeah.
Because of stuff like that.
That's why, like, I love the doghouse because it gave us opportunity, but I don't really like rock with a lot of people from the doghouse. Like Papa Don, like there's certain guys like Papa Don I still like talk to here and there, but a lot of guys from the doghouse I don't talk to anymore, man. I don't even care to because
it sounds to me that you guys
to like help us out, they wasn't there. You know what I mean?
So it sounds to me that you guys were trained to a certain extent, and then from there it's basically sink or swim. You're on your own, and you have to make out of it your best. What you've learned from us, we're going to show you the basics and how to how to work in the ring, you know, how to react, how to chain wrestle, how to take bumps, whatever it may be. But after a certain period, now it's sink or swim. You need to do your own shit and work it out yourselves. We're not going to really help you with that. And that's what I think made you guys even tougher, you know, not just physically, but mentally. You can keep going forward. And it made you guys men. Absolutely. Because if you don't sink or swim and you don't shit for yourself in plain English, you're not going to be successful.
Yeah, man. That's why I don't get upset about it. Like, there was a time where I did, like, years ago. I would let it get to me.
During the time, it was different. You were probably annoyed by it, but now you look back.
I didn't see the future.
Right. You know, I look back, you didn't see the whole big picture at the time. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
I even made a post about that like a few months ago. I was like, I thank all the guys that didn't, you know, pick up their phone for us or didn't help us along the way, you know. And there was a lot of guys in Doghouse that did. Like, shout out to TOT, the Tower of Torture. He was the first guy to like train us. You know, Low Life Louie was another guy.
Right.
Shadow is another guy. Like, there was guys in Doghouse that really helped us out. But some of the, you know, higher ups, when they was on the indies rocking out doing their thing, and they was like bringing their students in and, you know, getting them opportunities and stuff like that,
going into business for themselves.
Yeah.
Trust me, I've heard it all.
We weren't a part of that. We weren't a part of those conversations. We had to make our own way.
Put your own foot in the door and do everything on your own.
Yeah.
But I think that makes a person more stronger that way, you know, and learning from trial and error. And it just makes you realize I got to pick myself up, be a man. And if I'm dealt with lemons, you know, lemonade, you know, you make do what you have, you know?
Yeah.
I take my hat off to you for that.
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it worked against us too, because I know they felt a certain way. They was like, oh, these guys think they all like,
so
they
how
can do
long
it on their own without me.
How long did you train in the Doghouse before your first match?
Man, the first time I went to the Doghouse was in 2000, but we didn't start training at the Doghouse until 2001. So I would say maybe this was late 2000 when I first went. So I'd say maybe 6 months before we actually like started training.
Not too long, man. That's
yeah, because we knew that what we was doing, small indies, we knew that wasn't the way, because we knew we weren't trained. So one day I was like, you know what, man, we have to start training like seriously. So I went to Layton, the Tower of Torture, and I asked him, I was like, what do we have to do to become pro wrestlers? He was like, get your asses here every day throughout the week.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll train you. You know, I'll teach you everything you need to know. And that's where it all started, man. The Doghouse, one thing I loved about the Doghouse was there were shows every week. Every weekend, every Saturday.
That helps you grow and learn more. Yeah.
At one point, there were shows every Friday and Saturday, rain, sleet, or snow. It didn't matter. There was always, if it was one person in the crowd, we were still wrestling. So there were shows every week. And you have to think, I'm training throughout the week because the Doghouse is open every single day. And like I mentioned before, I was doing small indies Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays. So I was training Monday through Thursday. Then I would come back Friday, do like a small indie show. Come back Saturday, do a small indie show.
And that's how you get your experience, obviously.
Yeah.
The more shows, the better you can prepare your character. You learn more, and you're getting your education while you're performing.
Oh, man. It helped so much, man, because I was doing like the Doghouse shows at night. I was doing small indie shows on Saturday afternoon, Doghouse shows at night. Then I come back the next day on Sunday, and I'll do a small indie show.
And you're building your resume in the process.
Yeah. And exactly. I'm preparing myself for the indies. Because at the time, you know, I'm tape trading. I'm looking at all these different wrestlers. Like, I'm looking at these like compilation tapes, like Best of the Indies. It'll be like,
I was about to ask you, that's good. You did your homework.
And all that.
Right, watching the videos.
And wrestling all over the freaking United States. And
exactly.
I'm like, yo, I gotta prepare myself for like this, for all this schedule. So I'm like, yo, I'm gonna be doing as many shows as I can. So I would do all these little small indie shows, then go to training, then do the Doghouse shows Saturday night. So I was prepping myself for what I would eventually be doing years later.
Yeah.
And it was thanks to the Doghouse. You know?
So basically with the Doghouse, once you established your minimal amount of training, they kind of literally just threw you in the deep end. And then they said, hey, sink or swim. Now we gave you a foundation. Now you have to take this foundation and make it as best possible and make it your own. And you're going to learn as you go. And that's how most people, the old school wrestlers, learn, by performing in several different indie promotions, working the wrestling school, doing matches there, like you said. And the more you do, not only the more you'll learn and the better you'll get, but you'll also start to hone into your character. Like, who am I going to be? You know, who is Marcelo going to be? Am I going to be a rapper? Am I going to be a thug? Am I going to be like a hitman? What am I going to be? So the more matches you do, the better off you are.
And I didn't know what the hell I wanted to be, man.
Yeah.
It was, I didn't come into my own, honestly, I didn't really come into my own fully until I started doing singles in like 2014.
Right.
Because in the doghouse, when I first started wrestling there, I'm a fan of X-Pac, my favorite wrestler.
Right. Yeah, so, you mentioned that earlier. I liked him too, man. He was great.
When they started teaming us up, I wasn't as charismatic,
It took a course of time to get there.
Yeah, it took a while because I didn't think people would understand my personality. Because I'm like, these fans don't know us personally, so I'm like, I need to be something that they could like identify with. So it took a while for me to really
tune into your
just
character,
go all in. Yeah, it took a while. It was how I wasn't like fully like tuned into like being myself,
Right.
I was kind of like shying away from just being myself, letting my true charisma show. So I would say it wasn't until like Japan where like it came out because I had to turn the volume up because I'm coming out to freaking Part-Time Lover.
Right.
I got to turn the volume up.
Exactly. You have to make something out of it, right? Yeah, because when you hear it on paper, you look at it. Part-Time Lover. What am I supposed to do? Do I come out like this? Do I do a couple of Stevie things, or what the hell am I doing here? And you got to make the shit work. No disrespect to Stevie Wonder. I'm just saying when you hear Part-Time Lover,
I love Stevie Wonder.
Feel like you're in a jam, Yeah. But getting back to X-Pac, would you say that he was one of your favorite wrestlers? Because back then, and not to keep on rehashing this, but when you were in All Money Is Legal, you guys were a little smaller at the time. So did you relate to X-Pac because of that? It's like a part in the wrestling style. That's what I figured.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. This goes back to 1, 2, 3 Kid.
Yep.
That was my first. That was my first favorite wrestler was 1, 2, 3 Kid. Because remember, like I said, we got into it in '93. That's when he first came to WWE. When he first came
on the scene, right? From the Lightning Kid to the 1, 2, 3 Kid when he beat Razor Ramon.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I did not see that shit coming. I'll never forget that.
Man, that so random, man. That was so random.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing like the clips of it, like the replay of it, then seeing 1, 2, 3 Kid wrestle on like superstars. And I saw the skinny kid. Not only was he skinny, his name was Kid.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking he's our age. I'm thinking he's like 10 years old.
He's kind of old to be a kid. But next to the other wrestlers, he looked like a kid because he was small. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, what the hell? Then he's doing kicks. Like at the time, I was into I love like Jean-Claude Van Damme. I love all the martial arts movies, Bruce Lee, and he's out here doing kicks and stuff like that.
Right. He's bringing like karate type moves to the game. Yeah.
So I was hooked. I was like, oh, this is my guy, man. Like I loved him ever since, man.
He technically brought that to the game before they brought like UFC moves to the game. Yeah.
Like,
X-Pac was one of the first guys to be an innovator to bring different style wrestling to to America, to the WWE. That wasn't really a wrestling move, more like karate moves. But it's like you got people talking like, oh shit, this is something different. This is unique. And I don't think he gets the credit all the time that he deserves.
He does. He doesn't, man. He does at times, but not as much, man.
Yeah.
Not as much. Like, I think he gets more credit from the actual workers than he does from the fans. Like, the workers know how great he is, but the fans are just like, they're just going off like win-loss records and how many belts he won and stuff like that. But he was great. Man. He still is, man.
Yeah. No, so let me ask you.
I still follow his stuff, man.
Aside from him, who were your like earlier influences that you and your brother had, or just you in general, that influenced you to?
Oh man, my brother, man, I would say as far as like singles wrestlers, like I was like we both loved 1, 2, 3 Kid. My brother loved Chris Benoit, Triple H when he was doing like the blue blood gimmick.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
loved
Oh, the Blue Blood.
Stone
Yes, yes.
Cold.
Yeah,
He loved Stone Cold. Man, he was into like different guys. I wasn't like into like a lot of the guys he was into, but those are like the singles guys, and of course like Harlem Heat we were big on Harlem Heat, Public Enemy, the Gangsters, you know, teams like that.
Teams
Rock and Roll Express for sure. The Fantastics.
Oh yeah, okay.
The Fantastics.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like, oh man. So,
and you know,
so many guys, man.
Harlem
Too Cold
Heat,
Scorpio, which is another guy.
Yeah, he was awesome. Too Cold Scorpio. I think he got
that
ruined.
Was like oh man, like I love that Flash Fun gimmick. I loved it.
I like the gimmick, but I think his character went downhill after that, unfortunately. And to do the 450 splash with those high ass boots, I don't know how he balanced himself on the ropes like that. I was very impressed.
Yeah, those things will always fall down.
It's crazy.
Man.
And with Harlem Heat,
big shout out to him.
Sister Sherry, I thought Sherry Martel was such an awesome add-on to that gimmick to the team.
Yes, man.
Because she was wild in her day. To be with Harlem Heat was incredible.
You almost forget what she was before that.
Yeah, exactly. But Sister Sherry, she was incredible.
To that.
Yeah.
Oh man, she was so good with them, man.
You know, it's funny. I met Sherry Martel a long time ago in Brooklyn. We were shooting. We were shooting pool around the corner from the bar we used to hang out at on a Friday, Saturday night. So we're in the pool hall, and I see this lady walk in with these two big brothers. I mean, they were huge. So I'm like, okay, either they're friends or they're bouncers. Who the hell knows? But I'm looking at her. I'm queuing up my pool stick, and I'm like, that's Sherry Martel. So I look at my friends, and they're like, well, we're not going to go over to it. Those guys are huge. I'm like, fuck that. I'm going over there. So I put the pool stick down. I kind of casually walked over, and I said, hey, good evening. I said, you're Sherry Martel, right? She goes, yes, I am. So I shook her hand. I said, nice to meet you. But yeah, those were some good teams.
Yeah, they were no joke.
No joke. No joke whatsoever. But getting the home heat.
Yeah, man. I got
to get your reaction.
Those so good.
I what did you think?
Yeah.
When Booker T in the interview that's infamous in WCW, when he said, Hulk Hogan, we coming for you, and you know the rest of that. What was your reaction?
Oh man, you know.
And then he made the face after he said it. He put his arms up. He was like, "Oh shit, what I just say?" Probably thinking my career is done.
That's exactly what I was going to mention. That's one thing I was going to mention. The two things that stand out to me is his face and Sherry Martel just smiling and grabbing his chin like it's okay. Right. Like
trying not to break kayfabe. You know,
Sherry Martel, their reactions are
comical. The second he said it, he put up his arms. He's like, "Oh shit, what did I do? What the hell's wrong with me? What did I just say?" And man, when I watched that, I laughed my ass off. It was great.
It's so good. I still watch that from time to time. It's amazing.
I had the privilege. I met Booker T at a New Japan Jersey All Pro Wrestling match. He wrestled Jay Lethal at Fat Frank's promotion in Jersey when he was going back to WWE when he was still a wrestler. So I knew Jay Lethal because he wrestled at Cyberspace. So I got an opportunity to meet Booker after the show. So I shook his hand, I talked to him, and I took a photo with him. And he was such a cool dude. I didn't bring up that WCW moment because I was like, I don't know him that well, but man, I'm glad that we got to talk about it just now. So now, you did 0-1 for about 6 years. You mentioned on the last podcast that you kind of left abruptly, where you wish that you had left in a better way. But you also told me that you believe the door is still open in the future. You know, once they release the travel restrictions, and you might be able to go back there in the future and maybe do a one-off or some matches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's still up and open, man. I don't think the door's closed because, like I said, I didn't leave on a bad note. It just, like, on their part, like, some things were said after I was gone because they weren't happy with the fact that I left. And I don't want to make it seem like they weren't, like, loaning me out to other companies because they were at one point. Like, I was wrestling for FMW doing explosion matches and all that. I was doing other companies, you know, and I was representing 01 while I was at these companies. But in-house, like I mentioned with the whole, you know, with the UN championship where they had me freaking losing like non-title matches, I felt like they kept me stuck at a certain level, and I'm like, I should be advancing because now I'm a champion.
Right.
You should be like moving me up the ladder, but they they really weren't. And I was like, I kind of felt like it was like, you know, the veterans not wanting to pass the torch so much. So I got a little upset about that. So I was just like, you know what, let me just go home and try to make things happen in the States.
Yeah.
Then I'll come back for like their big, like yearly, like heavyweight tournament, which is called the Fire Festival. So I left in like January, and their big tournament, it's like a heavyweight tournament for like a month.
Okay.
In like July. So I was like, I'll come back for that. So while I was back home, one of my boys, Dylan James, he was still working there. So he's telling me like, oh, you know, he's getting upset because like they over here talking all this BS about me, like, oh, Buffa has no heart, this, that, the other. And this is something that I noticed, like, prior to leaving, like, about 6 guys had left the company. And these are, like, Japanese guys. So every time one of these guys left, they would be in the office talking all this BS about them. But I'm like, yo, the guy was just here yesterday, and none of this stuff is even being said. So just because he left the company, you want to talk about him, like, and make it seem like
not even there to defend yourself,
value in,
you know?
Yeah. So, like, Dylan was telling me, like, how they were saying all this other BS about me. I was like, all right, cool. I'm like, because when they was doing that with these other guys, and these are, like, Japanese guys, so I knew they wasn't going to act anything towards me. Results from the last few shows, what foreigners you have there? And 2, I'm already established here.
Exactly.
So what you mean? Like,
so without mentioning names,
try to shut me out.
If you were to go back to 01 without mentioning names, the people that were talking trash without you being there, are they still currently there at 01? Or if you were to go back, it would be like a whole new crop of talent?
Some are there.
Okay. And without without mentioning names, if you were to go back,
some left, but some are there.
Do you think the ones that are still there, like basically that they buried the hatchet, or would that shit pick up where it left off? Or do you think it'd be like squashed and you guys just move on?
I think at first it'd be friendly, you know, it'd be squashed. But if I was to stay there for like a few months, it'd go back to normal.
It may get rehashed again, and
that's just the way I feel about it, you know.
Yeah. Well, that kind of sucks.
I already know the people I'm dealing with, so I already know. Like at first, hey, great to have you back.
It's all like kind of phony. Like, hey, how you doing? With a smile,
BS, you know what I mean?
Meanwhile, it's bullshit.
At the end of the day, it was phony from the get.
Yeah.
From the get-go, they'd be like talking all this stuff about me just because I wanted to leave, because I was upset at the way I was being used. Like I wanted to do more. I'm not asking for every single belt. Like like. Come on now.
I want to just make sense. Whatever.
I just want to know, what are the plans? Where's my career going? Like, what is this leading up to? Like,
yeah. So now with the travel ban,
like, give me something to work towards, you know, instead of being left in the dark.
But the good news is, for now, things seem to be gelling well at MKW. It seems like you found a nice permanent home there for the time being.
Yeah.
Things are working well. In your estimation, when do you think the travel ban will be uplifted? Have they said anything on the news where you are? Like any approximation, or right now, your guess is as good as mine?
From what I've read, they mentioned how they are going to open up the Hong Kong border to China.
Okay.
So that should be opening up maybe next week. Maybe in a week or 2. So, you know, we'll be able to travel back and forth from mainland China to Hong Kong. Okay. But the only thing I haven't heard anything about was coming back into mainland China. if we have to be quarantined for like 2 weeks. Like going into Hong Kong, you don't have to be quarantined for 2 weeks.
But coming back.
Yeah, come back into China is a little different. So they didn't really like speak about that. Like the Hong Kong government mentioned, you know, coming into Hong Kong, you know,
you
won't have to, you know, be quarantined.
And you're still paying $100 every 60 days to keep the passport going,
bro. And speaking of that,
I'm sorry I brought it up. I guess
earlier today. No, man, I mean, you didn't piss me off. The situation pissed me off.
Yeah.
Because I had to go earlier today, and I was in there for no lie 3 hours.
Oh man.
I was in there from 2 to like, what was it, like 6? And it would never take more than an hour.
Yeah.
It would never take more than an hour. And I'm like, how I go today and it takes the longest it ever took.
Wow.
3 hours just to register for the extension, not to pick up the extension in my passport, to turn in my passport. And I'm like, yo, 3 hours.
Right, you mentioned they hold it for like a week or so, and then you have to go back to pick it up.
A week. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
So a 3 hour wait, man. Unbelievable.
So now, if you wanted to travel from where you are in China, say back home to the States right now, say you wanted to go home and visit your family, or anybody in the States, are you able to travel here now, or is there a ban for here as well?
Oh yeah, I could travel. I've always been able to travel back to the States, but I can't come back into China.
Oh, so if you were to come here, then you wouldn't be able to get back.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's another reason why you've been staying there, obviously, because you need to work.
Yeah, that's why I never.
For MKW.
Yeah.
So now, if you were able to come back,
the type of visa I have, I can't come back into China.
So now
I need to have a business visa. I just have like a work visa.
Oh, okay. Now, if you were able to come back to China, let's just say that there wasn't a ban, and you were able to come back. When would be the next time you come to the States to visit it if you had that opportunity? Would it be anytime soon, or future?
If I had the opportunity, it would be a lot sooner than later.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be. It definitely would be because I could use a break.
I hear you. How often do you keep in touch with your family?
For too long. Ah, man, every day. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Or like a Zoom here and there. But you know, like Guapo is still on social media, so I speak to him every day through like Instagram and all that. But
that's cool.
Family too. Like we do the Zoom, the FaceTime, and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much like once a week or like a few times a week. So
thank God for the social media.
I stay in touch with everybody.
Yeah.
Oh man, for sure.
Exactly, because that's we keep up with everything. Like I mean, to do a podcast like this, if you were the way you're overseas, we'd have to do it this way. But with the pandemic, let's just say you lived around the corner from me, and we would say, you know what, let's just do the Zoom. You're staying safe. I'm staying safe. So with this is a great opportunity. All businesses are doing this with Zoom. Everybody's using it because in order to maintain your business, if you can't have that interaction in person, at least you have this as an opportunity. Which I'm very fortunate to have.
Lifesaver, man.
Yeah, and it's great that we have this platform so we can talk to you and get the updates. What's going on with Buffa along with his boombox? And hear what's going on. So
I forgot to bring the boombox out, man. Because,
you better do it on the next one in the future. If not, I'm gonna have to hold it too. I got a small boombox up above me, but it's nothing like your boombox.
Oh yeah,
I got a small one because when I first moved in here, before the Alexas and all these other apps for music, I had my old school boombox that I found on Amazon that had a CD player and a cassette deck, and I had a shitload of tapes. So I said I got to buy this thing. So I hooked it up. I'm like, okay, it's 1985 again. I'm loving it. Whatever. It is what it is. But I haven't used it for a long time. It's more of an effect up here, but it still works.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if you got room over there, you got to bring the boombox next time. Definitely.
Yeah, man. I've been doing this on the balcony, so the boombox is in the room, and I'm gonna have to prop it up on something like.
As long as I'm not waking up the neighbors, man. That's all that matters. I don't want to wake up your neighbors.
And like, I think I'm on the 42nd floor. So.
Wow. Oh, so you live like an apartment building.
Yeah, there's no These apartments are empty. 42nd floor.
Wow, 42nd floor. That's pretty high up. Well, don't lean over too far. I don't want you falling on live
I don't
TV.
like it.
Before you went to MKW after 01, is that when you went to Asia, or was Asia before then, in the middle?
Asia was I was already touring Asia when I was with 01.
Oh, so it's like you were traveling back and forth.
Yeah. They would send us out to different countries within Asia to tour, representing the company. So that's where, I was able to, network. Then when I moved to Hong Kong, that's when I was able to come back to these companies on my own.
And really work on your singles career.
Yeah, without being under 01. Yeah, so MKW happened in like 2009. No, not 2009. 2019.
19, you meant to say.
Yeah, that's when I first.
Right, because you said you were there for a couple of years so far. Yeah,
that was the first time came to MKW. But I was already working within Asia at that time.
Okay.
So that developed back in 2016, 15.
Right. So your next match in MKW is going to be filmed next Friday, or this coming Friday tomorrow?
Next Friday.
Next Friday.
Yeah, I'm not.
Well, actually, today's Friday now. Right. So that episode 23 was aired. So 24 will be coming out next Friday.
Yeah, next Friday. Yeah, every week is a new episode.
And what are your social media handles between MKW and Buffa?
It's damn. I think it's MKW Wrestling. At MKW Wrestling on Twitter. I think it's MKW China on Instagram and Middle Kingdom Wrestling on Facebook.
So we got a lot of handles.
My Twitter's mine's is Buffa_AO on Twitter. That's WAYOO. It's the same thing on Instagram, and on Facebook is Marcelo Forrest Rhines.
Okay.
Facebook.
Yep, I got you on Facebook now too.
Yeah.
And since we're getting kind of pressed for time, I wanted to ask you one last question before we wrap this up. Where did the AO come from?
Man, I gotta go back to, well, first off, Dougie Fresh. That was like one of his songs. The Ayo.
Because I think of Naughty by Nature. I think of Hip Hop Hooray. I think of that for myself.
That's where the Full Nelson.
The Full Nelson. That's what I figured.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, yo, Hip Hop Hooray. Yeah, that comes from Naughty by Nature, but the Ayo comes from just dudes in the hood just walking around saying, "Hey, yo."
Right. Ayo, like me, more of a Italian thing. I say, "Ayo, hey, how you doing?" So both cultures kind of work hand in hand.
Yeah, it does, man. It does. It's the same thing, man.
Right.
Same thing.
Well,
there's different sides of the tracks.
Sides of the track, exactly. So we're gonna leave this off over here for now. So we'll have the fans wanting a lot more. So I'm Brooklyn's own Toddy D. Thank you for joining Toddy D's Pro Wrestling Podcast. Buffa and the Boombox in the house. I appreciate you coming on the show. Much love, much respect, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you again real soon. Take care, everybody, and be well.